Brother Rizwan, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I suggest that we can start.
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Excellencies, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And a very good day to all of you joining us virtually in different parts of the world. On behalf of Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions, I welcome you to this very important public hearing session on the exposure draft of AAOIFI standard on auditing, and in particular, the standard focuses on framework for auditing. This important public hearing is first of a series of public hearing that we will have on this particular standard. And it is being organized in collaboration with Bahrain Association of Banks and UAE Banks Federation. This particular public hearing is focused on GCC, on the stakeholders based in GCC. However, it is open to everyone joining us in different parts of the world. We do hope that this will be a beneficial session for all of us today. And we will go into the details of how it can be beneficial for all of us shortly. However, before that, let me just share with you what we will have for the day. We will have small welcome remarks which are being conducted now, and then we will move directly into the standard itself. This webinar is scheduled between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Bahrain time, which is GMT +3. Which will be broken down into two sessions. From 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock, we will have one session. And then we will have a break for prayers. In Bahrain, it will be Zohar prayers. And, in other parts, there might be other breaks. And then we will continue the session again for another 45 minutes. The session, and then we will, inshallah, end, depending on how we go about the overall standard. We will aim to end it by 1 p.m. Bahrain time. Now, before we, the session, of course, will be delivered by the Secretary General of AAOIFI, Mr. Umar Mustafa Ansari, who will take you through the standard in a very detailed manner. And of course, the idea of this discussion would be to have an interactive session rather than one-way monologue. And I'll come to that maybe perhaps a bit later on. But I want to use this opportunity to remind everyone of AAOIFI for people who know and people who are new to Islamic banking and finance on the importance of AAOIFI before we get into the details of the standard itself. So just very briefly, on this slide, what I would like to highlight is the role that AAOIFI has. Now, as the name suggests, Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institution, and the session today is very relevant because that was the main purpose of the establishment of AAOIFI. It was to develop standards related to accounting and auditing. However, the mandate soon expanded to include standards related to Sharia, governance, and ethics, in addition to accounting and auditing standards. Now, as we speak, there are 119 standards and technical pronouncements issued in these 5 areas. These standards, of course, are not issued by AAOIFI by itself, sitting in its office. Rather, it is a very interactive and comprehensive process of developing any one particular standard, including the one that we will discuss today. Now, the Sharia standard, as we speak, as the name suggests, issued by the Sharia board. The accounting Sharia board has all the renowned Sharia scholars from different parts of the world. The accounting standards are issued by the accounting board, which have scholars and practitioners from different parts of the world who all come together and share their expertise to develop accounting related standards. The Governance and Ethics Board, which was formed in 2016, helps us in developing standards related to auditing, governance, and ethics. And as I said, I mean, there are 119 standards in these 5 areas that we have issued, that we have developed. Now, what is the level of adoption and how institutions have benefited from these standards in the last 30 odd years since AOIFI has been established? Now, these standards, we are very happy to report, and perhaps this is based on an initial or inaugural report that we put together in 2020, that AOIFI standards are adopted in different shape and form, adopted and adapted, or used as guidance in more than 40 jurisdictions around the world. Now, there are different in a country like Bahrain, where AOIFI standards are mandatory. In fact, the Sharia standards have become part of the law. There are other countries where AOIFI, one set of standards, i.e. maybe Sharia standards, maybe accounting standards, maybe auditing and governance standards, are mandatory. So depending on which country, which jurisdiction we talk about, AOIFI standards are adopted or followed or adapted in different shape and form. Now, to enhance our understanding or enhance knowledge and understanding of AOIFI standards, AOIFI has secondary objectives, and we do that through our capacity building initiatives, where I'm sure most of you would be aware, we have 2 professional qualifications, one focused on Sharia advisor and auditor, and the other one focused on Islamic professional accountant. These have been taken by more than, these qualifications have been taken by more than 2,500 stakeholders globally. And these help us in enhancing understanding and awareness of AOIFI standard. We also have a number of other awareness and advocacy programs through workshops, through conferences that we put together as well, overall, just to enhance understanding and awareness of Islamic finance in general and AOIFI standards in particular. So that's very important for us to mention. I'll not go into detail, but this basically highlights the level of adoption that AOIFI has. And in fact, AOIFI is just putting together an updated report. It is in the design form now, and we have noted that the level of adoption since the issuance of the initial report in 2020 has certainly enhanced in different parts of the world. So based on 2020 report, AOIFI standards, in particular the accounting standard, were followed in about 43 jurisdictions in 36 countries. This number has now increased to over 50. And so is the case for the Sharia standard and the governance standard. And as I said, I mean, there are different levels of adoption. Some countries or jurisdictions adopt them fully. Some have partial adoption. Some use them as guidance or reference material, or some may develop local standards. Interestingly, we have also noted a growing number of jurisdictions where some institutions are adopting AOIFI standards on a voluntary basis without any requirement from the regulator. This actually gives them value. They found value in adopting AOIFI standard, and hence they have done that without any regulatory requirement, and so on. So as I said, there are 5 standards of level, 5 standards of development, which are not unrelated, rather they're interrelated areas. The one feeds into the other. So the Sharia standards, which lay the foundation for the standards, for the Sharia, which lays the foundation, basically they help us put together what is Sharia compliant, what is Sharia non-compliant, and what is in the gray area. The financial accounting standard helps us present, record, and report Islamic financial transaction in line with Sharia principles and rules. Governance standard, as the name suggests, bring uniformity in the governance and controls for the implementation of Sharia standards. And the auditing standard, which we are discussing today, provides, as the name suggests, provides assurance in respect to appropriate financial reporting of Islamic financial transactions and compliance with Sharia principles and rules. Now, these 3 standards, accounting, governance, and auditing standards, we don't reinvent the wheel. Rather, we actually advise our stakeholders to follow the best practices which are otherwise followed by which are being issued by the conventional stakeholders. And AOIFI will play a role only when there is a gap in a particular area or when there is a conflict with Sharia principles and rules. So our standards for financial accounting, our standards, our governance standards, and our auditing standards, they come in as a fill in the blank rather than reinventing the wheel. The ethics standard is very important as well, which is we have put together a very comprehensive code of ethics for Islamic financial professionals. focusing on ethics, and it replaced the previously issued codes that AAOIFI issued previously. Now, in terms of today's discussion, this is a very comprehensive standards development process that AAOIFI has. It takes us about 2 years to issue any one particular standard. So these are the stages that a particular standard goes through before an exposure draft is issued. And this exposure draft is presented at events like this that we are having today. So for this standard on auditing, we are here at a public hearing stage. So this is where we are. And once we complete the public hearing session, we will take all the comments and feedback to the relevant working group and the relevant technical board for their consideration and for their consideration to be included in the final standard. So with regards to, and that's how a final standard takes, comes into play. So it takes us about roughly 2 years for us to put together any one important standard. Now that's on AAOIFI, and I want to just very quickly remind everyone why we are here today. This is an opportunity for all of us to learn and benefit each other. Now, how do we benefit? Our role at AAOIFI is to present the exposure draft to your stakeholders, and your job today is to provide feedback and comments on this exposure draft which is being presented. Now, this can be in various ways. There can be maybe an area that you may think there is a gap, that you may think that AAOIFI has missed out, some important area which needs to be added. So please help us find that. Maybe there is a mistake in the standard, please highlight that. Maybe there are in fact some typo errors which we would be grateful if you can highlight and let us correct them as we speak. So we want this discussion to be more interactive, so both of us can benefit from these discussions. We will provide the standard, we will present the standard in a very detailed manner, and we would request you to keep the discussions very relevant to the standard that we're discussing. And please put your questions in the Q&A tab, which is presented at the bottom of your screen. And we would request you not to use the chat window. We will have more public hearing sessions on this standard. So if you would like to attend them, you will receive notifications from us, inshallah, in due time. If you have additional feedback and comments on this particular standard, please send us an email on governance@aaoifi.com. Lastly, of course, this session is being recorded to ensure that all your feedback is covered. The slides are generally same as the exposure draft document. So we will share the link with you in the chat in the chat and Q&A tab for you to download if you have not already. So generally the slides are not shared. If you have any questions, depending on time availability, please raise, and if you wish to ask by voice, please raise your hand. And depending on the time availability, the Secretary General may allow asking that question by voice. Once more, I request please keep the questions to the Q&A tab only. It will be easier for us to follow and reply to them. This webinar for all AAOIFI fellows, this webinar is recognized for 1 AAOIFI CPD hour. And lastly, over and above, if there are any other information, if you would like to connect with AAOIFI, and if you have any questions related to its membership, to its conferences, events, or any other areas, please send us an email on membership@aaoifi.com, or you can reach out to my email address on rmalik@aaoifi.com. With that, I would like to hand it over to the Secretary General of AAOIFI, Mr. Umar Mustafa Ansari, to take us through the standard that is being presented. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Rizwan. But I think that we have our respected brother Adnan Ahmed Yusuf here with us today. And he wears 2 hats here right now as chairman of AAOIFI's Public Interest Monitoring Committee, and also being the chairman for Bahrain Association of Banks, being our partner today. So I would request Brother Adnan Ahmed Yusuf to say a few words about the collaboration between AAOIFI and BAB, and the importance and relevance of this sort of cooperation, as well as if he has any comments about about the auditing standards of AOIFI, sir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everybody. Today is the first of Sha'ban. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you
Just bear
clearly.
with me. Just bear with us 1 second. You'll come back 1 second. I was trying to promote you as a panelist.
No. He's promoted already. So we can hear you clearly, sir. But I think you haven't switched on your camera. But we can hear you very clearly, sir.
He's coming back now as a panelist. Chef, we can hear you now.
Yes, sir. I think we can hear you, sir, now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good morning, everybody. And also, I'd like to wish you all the best. Ramadan is coming, and today is the first day of Sha'ban. I have to admit that, I used to be very active with AOIFI in the past, in 1986, 86 onward. And I remember the old days we used to have it in Gulf Hotel. And the debate and the fighting between each Islamic banks. We enjoy it. And I think that now AOIFI is becoming an organization which is well respected, well known to everybody. And I think that many central banks, they start to abide. Some of them, they abide to part of it. Some of them, they abide fully. But we have to take it step by step. What we are, and we have a very good cooperation between Bob as well as AOIFI, and I think that this is part of our job to make sure that we are serving our Islamic banks in Bahrain, and we try to help them as far as the accounting side. One of the things which I believe that we need to make and push is, that we used to have a very good sponsor for Islamic products, Islamic organization, and they used to be the pioneer in Islamic banks, but we lost them. This is part of the life. We lost Prince Mohammed, we lost Sheikh Saleh Kamel, and we lost Sheikh in Dubai, Sheikh
Sayyid Luta.
Yeah, and we lost the people in Kuwait. But we say that this is part of life. I think that now Islamic banks need another kind of push from the present people who is managing the Islamic banks and who are working in a different organization of Islamic banking. But I think that we need, to increase the number of conferences, and we should put things new to the Islamic banking. In the old days, we used to talk about murabaha and everything. Now I think that digitals, all these new products, fintechs, all these things should be part of our major discussion as far as Islamic. And when we discuss this also, the accounting side will come to it, and the other things under the AOIFIs will also come under these kind of products. But I think that we have a very big responsibility now to reshape, not to reshape, but to represent the Islamic bank again, to keep the banking always well known. I suggest that an article from AOIFI at least once or twice a month should be there, both in Arabic and English, and activities of AOIFIs and other Islamic institutions, they should be also there. Now, hardly we find anything. Maybe the only person still continue to write is myself. I wrote, every month, sometimes 2 articles, sometimes 1 article, and I try to distribute it to among many countries. Maybe sometimes, the people they translate it into English, but I think this is something which we should push for it. We should have few people focus on the products. It is not, I mean, we are not asking you to write it. You just give the ideas. We will give you the people who can write it in both Arabic and English, and then you check it and then you send it. This is what I'm, trying to say. But AOIFI did a very good job in the past, and inshallah, it will continue to do today and the future. And we are very happy with what we have as a cooperation between BABA and AOIFI. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your kind support as always to AOIFI. And it is great to see veterans like you to still be like active in activities for Islamic finance, promoting, writing. Allah bless you, sir. We are issuing our 6 monthly newsletter. After your advice, we'll try to bring it to maybe 3 months or 2 months. But something is there, and obviously something is better than nothing. But inshallah, we'll try to improve the frequency of that newsletter shortly, and
that is a newsletter. No, I'm talking about articles.
Yeah, the
articles is very short, and you can send it to people, through their WhatsApp and through their emails, as well as in the newspaper.
Sure.
Because people now, the people now, they are not interested in reading. And you should send a message to them. Yeah, for example, an article say how many standards you have issued. These are the standards. This is the major one which you have to focus on it. These are the Islamic banks. These are the balance sheet of the Islamic banks. Where you stand vis-a-vis the new product, digital issues, all these, payments. And at least people, they will see that you are part of the Islamic banking. This is what I want to say.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Adnan. It's a pleasure to have you, mashallah. Good to see you as well. Thank you for sparing your time and being with us.
No, it's my pleasure.
Jazakallah khair. Perhaps maybe over to you, Brother Umar, to take us to the standard. We also have Dr. Abdurrahman Aradeen with us.
Thank you very much, Brother Rizwan. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Ladies and gentlemen, respected scholars and our elders, all of you are greatly welcomed on this occasion of, I think it's a public hearing on any auditing standard of AOIFI after a long time. So Alhamdulillah, we are, as a promise to the industry, we are working on so many different fronts that this front probably was a bit neglected earlier. But Alhamdulillah, we are in an advanced stage for this standard now, and there are other projects on this side that I'm going to brief you about shortly. So with that, I would like to welcome all of you. And there are two quick things. I request my colleagues in the Secretariat to promote any of the board members of AOIFI who are present here today as panelists. Inshallah, we can allow everybody to speak, but particularly those technical board and board of trustee members, whoever has joined in, if they have taken time, you should be promoting them to the panelists for today's discussions, number one. Number two, I would like to mention again that I think I mentioned it earlier in the question answer box, but maybe the answer was not clear to all. This public hearing is being conducted in English. There is no live translation for this one, but as a matter of policy, we will be conducting 2 or 3 public hearings in English in different time zones. Maybe one of them will be physical, others will be webinar based. But there will be at least one public hearing before we go ahead with the finalization of the standards. So there will be at least one public hearing in Arabic language, inshallah. Before that, obviously, we have to complete our part of issuing the draft exposure, draft translation of the exposure draft in Arabic also. So it will take maybe a couple of months, but inshallah, it will be done in due course. So for those who want to comment in Arabic and want to attend the Arabic public hearing, just they will have to keep waiting for maybe a couple of months only. With that, I would like to take you through the standard. But before taking you through the standard, I think that is very important because it will save time for us collectively to understand what is AOIFI's mandate on our auditing side and what is the scope and strategy for AOIFI's standard setting on the auditing side. So all of you know about the name of AOIFI. It comes as Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions. So so the starting point, Alhamdulillah, as Brother Rizwan mentioned, now we are developing standards in multiple areas. But the starting point for AOIFI was accounting and auditing, and the mandate was to develop a specific accounting and auditing standards that are applicable for Islamic financial institutions. In a manner that Sharia principles and rules are adhered to. So from that perspective, AOIFI had developed earlier 5 standards, and those 5 standards are nearly 20 years old now, all of them, nearly 20 years, 20 to 24 years, 25 years old. Now, with regard to the 6th standard is comparatively new, but that is on Sharia audit. That is an independent assurance service. So that is not related to financial statements audit. So 6th standard is relatively new. It was issued, I think, 4 years back. But that one, as I mentioned, is an assurance standard, independent assurance standard, not part of our auditing framework itself. With regard to our auditing framework, so we can say that that framework was roughly 20 to 25 years old, when those 5 standards were developed in over a period of time. Yeah. This SOA1 that we have, is actually replacing 4 of those 5 standards, which means that standard number 1, standard number 2, standard number 3, and standard number 5 will be replaced by this one. So why we are working on this in this style, and what will be the outcome of this overall revision project? For that, we need to understand the strategy that AOIFI developed in 2015-16, which was approved by our governance board as well as accounting board. As per AOIFI's statute, the auditing standards are a responsibility of the governance and ethics board with input from the accounting board. So it means that any auditing standards that AOIFI issues or will have to issue will have blessings from both the technical boards, that is accounting board and governance and ethics board. And for that purpose, we have established a joint committee of the 2 boards called Professional Auditing Standards Committee. The strategy that was approved by both the boards actually included one very important aspect, and that was that as a part of that aspect, that first part of that is that we will continue developing auditing standards, because there was an argument whether auditing standards developed by AOIFI add any value or not. So we considered that if they add value, then we should continue developing our auditing standards. So this was in 2015-16 in the strategy for our auditing standards, as well as AOIFI on a comprehensive basis has gone through an exercise of strategic strategy development for AOIFI in 2017-18, and that also endorsed this idea that AOIFI will continue developing auditing standards if they add value. And the second aspect, as I mentioned within that point, was that the standards on auditing will be needed only where they add value. This strategy is quite similar to the strategy that we have developed on the accounting side, that we do not want to reinvent the wheel. We do not want to waste resources on something which is already done in a very good quality by the conventional institutions and conventional standard setting bodies, the regulators, in a way that does not have value addition from Islamic finance perspective. So the question is, what can be the value addition by AOIFI with regard to the auditing side? Because on accounting, obviously, we understand there are a lot of issues. Today, I don't want to go in those details. What are the differences between AOIFI and IFRS or other generally accepted accounting principles, but we can have a long list of those differences. But when it comes to the auditing side, that long list comes down to only two things. The first thing is that we believe that the financial reporting for Islamic financial institutions, and again, AOIFI's scope as of now is for Islamic financial institutions only. But if you assume having a comprehensive Islamic economic system where everything is according to Islamic Sharia and Islamic traditions and values, in that situation, what would be even the difference in auditing of a audit of a normal entity? Probably the same is the case with the Islamic financial institutions today as well. So the difference primarily is from the perspective of the qualitative elements of the financial information, particularly the Sharia compliance. This means that what the users of the financial statements, which are being audited by the auditors, are expecting from the financial information provided by those financial institutions have some qualitative elements that are not considered primarily by the global standard setting bodies, because they are not developing them specific to Islamic finance or specific to Islamic Sharia. So for example, I invest in a company or I invest in a financial institution, and as a Sharia conscious user of financial statements, I'm not aware as to how much of the income and as to what extent the activities of the institution or the entity were Sharia compliant. In that situation, the information being available to me is incomplete. That is the value addition that AOIFI has to do, and the most important value addition that AOIFI has to do, which means that the auditing standards developed by AOIFI shall, in addition to the fair and true and fair view and or the faithful presentation of the financial statements, have to take care of the qualitative element, particularly the Sharia compliance. Obviously, there are other qualitative elements also to be considered. I don't want to go into the philosophical debates, but actually there are additional qualitative elements to impact towards society and others. And we know that these things are now being considered by conventional standard setters as well. The second value addition that AOIFI needs to do first value addition that we are talking about is with regard to the scope, which means that the scope of audit has to include Sharia compliance, which means that financial statements being true and fair is not sufficient for the use for the Sharia conscious users. Rather, they need to have information about the extent of Sharia compliance as well. But the second value addition is on the working side, on the practical side. So if you see from the perspective of international standards on auditing, if you see, they need to have some guidelines with regard to audit of financial instruments, with regard to audit of derivatives. There were earlier more guidance available, even with regard to inventory and receivables, etc. Now, some of those guidelines are not continuing, but earlier there used to be additional guidelines as well. So the most important part is that when we talk about Islamic finance instruments, Islamic finance transactions, services, those are not exactly the same as conventional. So in that situation, even the audit of those financial instruments, audit of those transactions, audit of the business model of those institutions, like Takaful has a different business model from conventional insurance. So the product structure and the transaction structure is different from conventional. And these are the areas where it might be important to provide guidance to the auditors in a way that the overall audit is performed with top quality, with reasonable level of consideration to the specific aspects of Islamic finance. So here we are talking about two things. One, Sharia compliance as a qualitative factor of financial statements and about activities of the company or the institution. The second aspect about the specific requirements of the specific requirements with regard or specific guidance with regard to the audit of specific instruments and business models which are prevalent in Islamic finance only. So these are the two main aspects on which we are working. So what will be what we are doing right now? We are actually having a comprehensive revision project for our auditing standards. As I mentioned, our auditing standards were already quite sort of old, which means that they were developed nearly 20 years or so. So effectively, the international standards on auditing and other auditing practices have all significantly developed over a period of time in between this period of development of our standards and now. Secondly, so we need to update them. Secondly, we need to scope it very clearly that our value addition is there with regard to these items only. So with that output in mind, we started the revision project. Now, what we expect will be the outcome of the revision project. Number one is this SOA 1, which is a comprehensive framework of auditing in line with the concepts that I have mentioned to you, particularly considering the Sharia compliance. For all details, it refers generally to or keeps open to the international standards on auditing or other established practices of auditing which are prevalent in the respective country. So we haven't specifically mentioned only for ISAs. We understand that mostly the established practices of auditing will be ISAs, but in some countries those can be local standards or ISAs read with along with the local regulations or the regulations of the accounting and auditing oversight bodies and the Institute of Accountants, etc. So we have used the term established practices of auditing. So this standard is to be read with established practices of auditing. And we are not going to develop more standards mostly in these areas where the international standards on auditing are available for details. So the core concept of most of the auditing requirements are covered in this standard, and the remaining things are or details are referred to the established practices of auditing. Now, what will be the second outcome? Second outcome will be SOA 4, that is the current ASFI 4. I'll come to this SOA nomenclature later. This SOA 4, which is currently ASFI 4, is about consideration of Sharia principles and rules by the auditor of financial statements. That one needs enhancement, improvement, and alignment with this new SOA 1. We will have some additional considerations which were not there at the time when original SFI 4 was developed. So, for example, using the work of experts, using the work of internal Sharia audit, some of other activities which were not prevalent at that time, we need to consider those, and we need to align it with the new auditing practices, and we need to align it with new SOA 1. Probably SOA 4 and SOA 1 will have the same effective date. SOA 4 is in progress right now. The exposure draft will be issued within this year, and probably both of these standards will be finalized towards end of this year or early next year, inshallah. In between, multiple public hearings will be held on this one and SOA 4. Now, what will be the third output that we expect? The third output that we expect is the guidelines on the audit of Islamic finance instruments and Islamic financial institutions, specifically addressing the business model, the transaction structures, the Sharia requirements that need to be considered, the aspects of accounting that needs to be considered, because the accounting under AAOIFI facets is different from the IFRS. So these guidelines are actually going to help. These guidelines are actually going to help with regard to how we want the audit to be conducted, how to get the best benefit out of the audits that are being conducted for Islamic financial institutions. Sorry. Another output that is not final as of now, but it has been identified that maybe we may come up with a standard on the review of financial statements, like interim financial statements, that those are reviewed. But that is not yet final, so it will update you in due course. Coming to the nomenclature of SOA, earlier we used the term or governance standards for Islamic financial institutions, GSIFI, and auditing standards for Islamic financial institutions, ASIFI. Now, in recent years, the governance board of AOFI decided that we will be using the term AOFI governance standard instead of governance standard for Islamic financial institutions, because the ambit of AOFI includes some of the transactions or structures which may not be within the exact meaning of Islamic financial institution, and some of those may be generalized in nature, so any Sharia compliant entity may use them. So for example, we have a standard on Sukuk governance. Sukuk technically is not an Islamic financial institution. It's a virtual, we believe in most cases it's a virtual entity, but it's still, Sukuk can be issued by corporates, by the sovereign authorities, the governments, the central banks. So technically speaking, Sukuk is not done by only Islamic financial institutions. Similarly, we have a standard on Waqf governance, which again, there can be an argument that a Waqf is not an Islamic financial institution. Also, it has some similarities with regard to its investment elements. So we decided that we will be developing standards on the governance side with the name GS or AOFI GS, that is AOFI governance standard. Coming to auditing side, the same question came to the board, and it was decided that our auditing standards, the Sharia standard, the governance standard on audit, the governance standard on Sukuk also requires that the Sukuk financial reporting should be subject to audit. Similarly, Waqf shall be subject to audit under the AOFI auditing standards. Considering the same sort of issues, it was decided that we will be naming the new set of, or the updated set of auditing standards as standards on auditing, AOFI standards on auditing, SOA, to distinguish also from financial accounting standards, because financial accounting standards are also there is a similarity in AS on the accounting side and AS on the auditing side. So it was decided that we call them SOAs. This nomenclature is something on which, if we can get better suggestions, we will be like, you all are most welcome to provide your comments. With regard to the strategy that I mentioned, all of you are welcome to provide your comments. Some comments we can take now before I start sharing the slides and going directly to the standard. We can take some comments now, but again, as Brother Rizwan has mentioned, that comments are invited in writing as well. So those of you who did not have enough opportunity to read the standard before attending this public hearing, you can provide your written comments in writing, or you can provide your comments in the upcoming public hearings. I think there are some questions here. Let me quickly try to see. And first thing, there is I haven't shared the slides as yet, so there are no slides shared as of now. I'll be taking you through the slides going forward. We have first comment from Brother Sayyid Musa Al-Habshi. Salam Mabruk for the excellent draft. For clarity, it will be helpful to distinguish a statement of auditing vis-a-vis standard of auditing, the former to facilitate guidance and interpretation, and the latter to prescribe requirements and compliance of best practices. Hence, the combination of standard will be distinct from the statement of principles. With reference to the bifurcation of audit opinion, it's timely, proper, and effective. Flow charts or to illustrate processes to arrive at both opinions will enhance both the framework and standard. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. First, we are so much glad to have you here in the event, and thank you very much for very good suggestions. Again, I cannot conclude on behalf of the board that whether they will be divided into, but it is still possible that either a section can be identified or a statement of auditing can be taken completely separately. The idea of this one was to keep the number of standards limited. We don't want too many standards on the auditing side, but we highly appreciate, Dr. Musa Al-Habshi, we highly appreciate your comments here, and we will take it forward to the board. Any comments that are provided today, for sure, they will be taken to the Professional Auditing Standards Committee and the board. There is no separate working group for this one because the Professional Auditing Standards Committee mainly comprises of members of the accounting board and the governance board to have a combined effort on that part. They have representation from the Big Four and other firms as well. So we hope that inshallah, these comments, again, these comments are very well taken. Only thing about statement of principles, can we have it separate or can we distinguish it within the same standard? How we take your comment and how we take it forward, I cannot commit on behalf of the PSC or the board, but I can highly appreciate from my end that these comments are very good. Thank you very much, sir. The second comment is from Sister Mariam Qudrat. How would the auditor ensure that the bank is Sharia compliant? All the Islamic bank shares were acquired by a conventional bank. Very complicated issue. Very complicated issue because this issue, Sister Mariam, this issue is more on the governance side. You might have had a look at the AAOIFI IFSB joint Sharia exposure draft of joint Sharia governance framework. We have covered a section on Islamic subsidiaries as well, and maybe after finalization of that joint standard, we might be coming up with more guidelines on that area. Sister, I believe that auditor cannot handle these issues. Auditor's scope is limited within the bank. But we believe that subsidiary, we believe that even Islamic finance window by the conventional bank is within the definition of Islamic financial institution. So all Sharia compliance requirements should be there. So, but from the auditing perspective, I don't think that we may be able to add too many points here. But for sure, we will consider it as I mentioned, that we'll be developing some guidelines as well. So if Sister Marjan, if I can suggest to note it down, that in the guidelines, we need to have a small section with regard to relationship of the window with the conventional part and with regard to the subsidiary with the parent. It is very important and timely comment. We can consider it not in this standard, but in the guidelines that we provide. Again, thank you very much. And this is the purpose of holding these public hearings, to have important ideas about these things that we might have missed out. Brother Tariq Sayyid Ahmed, can this language may do in Arabic language? Brother Tariq, thank you very much for attending the event, and I hope everything is good at your end. Brother Tariq, I mentioned it earlier as well that this one will be in Arabic, in English, but the same public hearing shortly will be conducted in Arabic as well. We will shortly be issuing a draft of the draft translation of the exposure draft. And after that, we will be inviting comments in Arabic, as well as we'll be conducting a public hearing in Arabic as well. Thank you very much for attending this one. And again, we expect that you will be attending the one in Arabic as well, inshallah. Looking forward towards very useful comments as always. Thank you very much, Brother Tariq. Brother Ibrahim Amin, is it okay that one of the Sharia board members be a secretary of the board? The question is right now not relevant. According to AAOIFI Governance Standard number 9, the secretariat function of the Sharia board shall be preferably separate, but the Sharia compliance department can also perform that function. I think that there is no prohibition in that standard that a Sharia board member cannot be a secretary. So there is no prohibition on that. So that again, but the question is relevant. I'm trying to quickly answer it. We cannot have further debate on this one. Thank you very much, sir. Brother Abdullah Al-Khaldi, welcome, sir. Too much. You are always welcome, Sister Marjan or brother Rizwan, because Brother Abdullah Al-Khaldi want to use the audio. Please allow him to speak. Please, Brother Abdullah Al-Khaldi, please.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Walaikum assalam, sir. Walaikum assalam.
Inshallah, جزاكم الله خير for this event, and thank you for the effort. And we are also welcoming Sheikh Abu Ahmed Adnan Yusuf. جزاه الله خير for spending the time to share this session with us. جزاكم الله خير, everybody. Now, brother, I have the comment is on page 21, item 49. The standard is
Give me a second to share the screen, please.
Yeah.
Give me just a second.
Yeah,
Share
it's
my
about
screen.
assessing and using the work of internal Sharia audit function. Now, the thing is, if this standard is trying to
Just
guide
give me a second, just okay.
Sure.
Page 21,
paragraph 49.
paragraph 49. Just give me a second, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now,
sir.
if the standard, if the draft is trying to guide the auditor what functions to be evaluated as an auditor, the standard describes two functions: the work of internal audit function in 46 and assessing the internal Sharia function in 49. Now, the thing is, if the standard is giving the guidance for the auditor to evaluate the control function, then there is more than just two functions. There is the risk, and it's crucial to the institution. There is the compliance function also, and there is other functions, depends on the nature of the bank. So the other functions are not mentioned. But if you ask me, then I would prefer that what have been described in clause 49. Actually, this is more or less this what the internal auditor evaluate when they come and check the peers or the other control functions inside the institution. So this will make it some sort of duplication. Also, the external Sharia auditor, when they come to evaluate the institution, also they do request this. So now we have some sort of too many issues. One, duplications. Two, now the internal Sharia function, everybody comes, I'm not saying to boss him, but if so many people are jumping on him. The internal auditor on annual basis jumping, the external Sharia is also come and jumping, and now those nice gentlemen, the auditors, so I think there is, it's sort of overdoing, it's frustrating in a way. So what I would suggest is, if the standard is evaluating the control functions, then the standard should state all the control functions, not just two. I would understand 46 when they evaluate the internal audit, because it's a matter of integration between the external auditor and the internal auditor. We would understand this. But this duplication, this
Thank you very much, Brother Abdullah. If you allow me, thank you very much again for this very good comment. First, we take your comment very seriously. We'll take it. First thing, if we did not mention about some of the conventional functions, it is the reason that those are already covered in the conventional standards. So we are not reproducing the whole book of international standards on auditing. Rather, as I mentioned in the beginning, we are doing only the value addition. So the conventional standard might not be having a section about internal Sharia audit, what it does. Now, coming to Brother Abdullah, about your comment, if you see paragraph 50 and 51, they say that work performed by the internal Sharia audit function may affect the time, nature, timing, and extent of the auditor. So that is the first part. Then if you see 51, if the internal Sharia auditors are competent or objective, the auditor may use the work performed by the internal Sharia auditors in suitable areas to reduce the work of audit work. So the purpose of this assessment is not to to report about this, that, oh, they are good or they are bad. No, nothing like that. The point is simple. You are considering about Sharia audit, but the problem is that there are branches which are subject to audit 10 times. There might be functions like treasury function that may be audit subject to 7 times, 8 times, 9 times by regulators, by internal auditors, by external auditors, by internal Sharia auditors, by the external Sharia auditors. And again, the idea is that standard on auditing actually asks the auditor to assess the functionality of the internal functions. So if the internal functions are working good, so in that situation, the auditor may reduce the work that he is needed to do. So his risk assessment becomes better, that the institution has a low risk or moderate risk as compared to high risk, and he can reduce the work done by himself by using the work which was already done by the internal Sharia auditor. This results in an overall effective and efficient audit, saving time. And obviously, one department may be subject to additional assessment, but maybe 20 departments and 200 branches may not be subject to additional functioning. So this is something that is for the purpose of efficient audit. We take your comment, we'll see how it can be done, but I'm just trying to answer based on my humble understanding. Dr. Razin,
if you allow me, this comment indirectly is nullifying the input or the output of the Sharia board, because the annual report of the Sharia board that would address these matters. So by this, this would intercept the value or would devalue the Sharia board annual report, because the auditor would evaluate if the Sharia compliance of the income. That's what the SSB is deciding on their annual report, and that usually what the external auditor would need. So by this, now the auditor is becoming let's say the governor or the one who is deciding, which it is not, because the internal Sharia auditor would report to the board, to the Sharia board, and the Sharia board would decide on the legitimacy on how compliant is the business activity. So
Brother Abdullah, just a question. Do you think our Sharia boards have time to actually go and check in detail the transactions?
No, they will have the time to check the internal Sharia audit reports.
No. So that again, do you think they are genuine experts on the auditing concepts as well?
I'm not expecting this.
So according to AAOIFI, what we do, we say that Sharia board is mainly responsible for the design part of the transaction, which means whether the contract is halal, whether the main process flow is halal, whether the terms and conditions that are contained in the contract, the terms and conditions that are actually applied on ground, they are halal. This is the design part of the transaction, which is the main responsibility of the Sharia board. But the Sharia board of a large bank, even of a small bank, cannot have enough time to check the execution part of the transaction. So the implementation and execution part of the transaction is to be done by different organs of governance and audit. So that is something that we believe that has been AAOIFI's approach, and this is not AAOIFI's approach alone. The similar approaches are taken by global standard setting bodies. Similar approach is taken by IFSB as well. Some of the regulators have taken the similar approach, because you cannot put all the responsibilities on the Sharia board. So the auditor are not becoming bosses to the Sharia board. They are actually assisting the Sharia board by working on the implementation part. Brother Abdullah, if you allow me, I will need to move to the next participant. Dr. Abdurrahman Al-Razin has raised his hand. Sir, please.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صباحكم الله بالخير جميعا. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you, Brother Umar, and your team for your continuous effort in supporting the flow of reliable and relevant information about Islamic institutions. The current work is in line with the AAOIFI mission, and it's very most welcome. My comment, if we start from the beginning, what we have today actually is not a standard, it's not a framework. what I have seen is a reduction of almost 1,000 pages of international standard into almost 40 pages. What I think, in line with Brother Saeed comment just a few minutes ago, we have a framework of auditing, and we need a special consideration in auditing of financial statement of Islamic institutions. What we have today is this one, is the second one. It's a special consideration in auditing financial statement of financial institutions, Islamic financial institution. That can be done by any charter auditors in any jurisdiction who read the standards and understand it and take the full training of it. He can audit a financial institution according to the applicable framework, which usually is the AAOIFI accounting framework. That's what we see. If we change the title to be a special consideration for auditing of Islamic financial institution, that will be perfect, but we need more elaboration on most of the subject. We need another document, which the framework of auditing, that will concentrate on some subject that's relevant to the framework or the principle that we need the audit function to work on it. One of them to decide whether the audit of the Islamic financial institutions, either the financial statement or compliance with Sharia, is it a fair presentation or compliance with presentation? That's very important. I think for the auditing financial statement, there is no problem to be a fair presentation, but for compliance with Sharia principles and rules, it might be a compliance presentation is not fair presentations.
Sir, can I stop you here for a second?
Yes,
Sir,
please.
earlier, AAOIFI had both the opinions in the same para. Sharia compliance and fair presentation were both in the same para. We made them primary and supplementary already. So it's an excellent point that you have mentioned, that first is, that these two have a different nature. So do you think that by distinguishing the opinions, we can address this issue partially, or we need to do something more? Sorry, I intercepted, but it was a very important comment, sir.
Actually, I will go further. I will ask for two separate engagements, even if it's being conducted by one auditors. The engagement for financial statements is completely different from assurance of compliance of Sharia principles and rules. That's because the audit financial statement need the charter auditors, whichever the big four, whatever, they've been trained to audit AAOIFI framework. That's it. But we need a separate engagement for what you call the assurance for compliance with Sharia principles and rules. This is not historical information as usually the audit been about. We need an assurance that the auditor is able to read the documents that support the transaction that been initiated by the Islamic financial institutions, the instrument being issued. He has to have a full or at least adequate knowledge of Sharia and adequate knowledge of accounting and adequate knowledge of law also. This might not be enough for the auditor to use such a knowledge as an expert, external expert. No, we need a separate engagement for those who train in Sharia and law and have some basic knowledge of accounting, not a full knowledge. And that might be either a chartered auditor may have second license, or may AAOIFI offer for different jurisdiction to license such an auditors. That's what be included in a framework, not in a standard.
Thank you very much, sir. All are very much valuable comments, and obviously, as member of accounting board, you will have your view presented in writing as well, I hope, or we will present it to the accounting board again as well towards finalization. So, if I summarize, I think first you agreed with Dr. Musa Al-Habshi that you need to it is better if we segregate the principles part separately as a statement of principles, and we make this standard as special consideration standard. There are some additional considerations which are to be covered in detail in standard number 4. We'll see how we name both of them. But if we identify a statement of principles separately and make it as a special consideration standard, that is, I think I can understand. I'm trying to understand your views first. Secondly, is that we segregate the Sharia compliance part from the financial reporting part, Although you believe that even for financial reporting part, the relevant expertise is still necessary, but for Sharia compliance part, the expertise of a expert auditor's expert might not be enough. Rather, we need to have a complete different team. We already have our standard number ASFI 6 on that is external Sharia audit. But the point is that that is not mandatory all over the world. So even there was one discussion at earlier one point of time that auditor, we completely remove the requirements of the auditor with regard to Sharia compliance, and we just say that Sharia audit must be separate from the financial audit. If you allow me, I think the other way around. I personally believe that eventually all financial auditors should be doing the Sharia audit part as well, so that you don't need to appoint two different auditors, because having two different functions in all areas, Sharia compliance versus compliance, internal Sharia audit versus internal audit, having external Sharia auditor versus external auditor, having Sharia board and against the board and others. So additional, all the double governance cost and everything. There are people who are criticizing AAOIFI, IFSB and other standard setting bodies that you are asking too much with regard to the cost. So we try to keep a balance. Dr. Azin sir, I'm just trying to mention the views that have been coming. I'm just not qualifying your comments, sir. I'm just mentioning that these have been comments have been coming. So from AAOIFI's perspective, as of now, the external Sharia audit is recommended but not mandatory. But the external audit having consideration, minimum considerations of Sharia is mandatory as of now, and according to this exposure draft as well. So this is something that we can again, every comment is extremely valuable for us, coming from an expert like you. Thanks for your support always.
If you allow me, but accept this remark on auditors. Usually auditors are easy fooled by documents. That's a problem. So if you ask them to audit a financial state for Islamic financial institutions, and there is a good documentation for the transaction, they may approve it even it's against the spirit of the Sharia rule and principles. That's the problem with the auditors. And please, the auditors accept my remark. That's what we see in the market. We see many transactions that they go through, even if it's not in the spirit of the Sharia principles and rules. That's what I ask. Even if it's the same auditors, but we have to identify the engagement for Sharia compliance assurance as a separate one, to have additional requirement, more Sharia knowledge, more legal knowledge. Otherwise, they will be full easy. That's my remark. But
thank you very much, sir. Again, I cannot commit right now what will be the final views of the PSC and the boards, but I personally believe that your points are completely valid. The only thing is whether we break into or we enhance both of them within the same. But enhancement on this part, I fully agree, either through a complete separate engagement letter or something. Let's see how the PSC looks at it. But for now, I think your comments are extremely valuable for us, sir. Brother Abdullah, you want to say something again, or your hand is raised from the earlier time? Because I have some comments on the QA box before I.
Sorry, I forget it raised. But anyhow, just as a comment, what you said earlier, actually all the opinions are on sample based, whether internal, external or internal. So usually that's the rule. Okay, so thank you.
Agreed, sir. Agreed. Now coming to some comments that I have received on the QA box. First is from Dr. Kabiru Dundago, sir. It is good to note that efforts are now being made to extend AAOIFI standard beyond IFIs. Is AAOIFI therefore going to develop exposure draft for setting set of compliance with other halal businesses, or it would just make some adjustments in the existing standards to cover manufacturing, mining, etc. businesses? Dr. Kapiru sir, what you are talking about is something that we can dream of, but because of limited resources, we cannot do anything like this. We believe that in order to work for a development of a comprehensive Islamic economic system, we need to go for these things. But there are some areas that are related on which we are touching. For example, sukuk, even if they are done by corporate, they are in our ambit. For example, awqaf are in our ambit. Similarly, we might be working on on accounting for musharka ventures, etc., which may apply on any type of entity. So that is being discussed right now, because musharka or mudarba or any type of participatory investment cannot work unless you have a proper financial reporting for the respective venture. So there are additional areas that may go beyond exact definition of Islamic financial institutions, but we cannot reach to that level. To be honest, if you ask me, even as a individual, I'm not saying it's a decision of the board or something. Even we have thought internally, considering having a halal board at AOIFI in addition to our existing technical boards, because halal standards are a need of time. Every country are developing them, but the global level halal standards are even needed. So there are a lot of activities that need to be done by AOIFI. But with the limited resources, limited team, limited financial resources, we cannot go in all these areas. So personally, it would be an ideal for me to have this thing, but as of now, AOIFI's scope is limited to Islamic financial institutions and things which are related to that, which include Islamic finance transactions and social finance. So Islamic finance transactions can be done by the other entities as well. Similarly, just to give you an example, that earlier our accounting standards were at times only one-sided, which means that if I'm doing a standard on Murabaha, it is defining the treatment of Murabaha as per phase 2, my old phase 2. It was only on the asset side, which means that we were addressing only the Islamic financial institution who is doing Murabaha transaction with a customer. But now phase 28, if you see at phase 28, we have the other side accounting as well, which means that what will be the accounting of the customer. So that is one of the areas where even the normal entity which is doing Islamic finance transaction, its accounting is covered by AOIFI. But what happens in some countries, that even if AOIFI's accounting standards are adopted, these are adopted by Islam for financial institutions only. Like we have some regulators represented here as well. So the accounting on one end is subject to AOIFI phases, which obviously is defining the other side as well, but the other side entity is not following AOIFI phases because the regulators of that entity have not adopted AOIFI phases for that purpose. We believe that our responsibility is to do the maximum accounting guidance and standards as are needed related to these transactions. And then obviously it is not in our hand as to how and to what extent we can do that. With regard to the next comment, it is from Sheikh Suleiman Al-Rai. How the internal audit perform assessment of internal Sharia audit function? This is a question actually not to me, but to Brother Abdullah Al-Khaldi. The quick part is that actually in most institutions, internal audit and internal Sharia audit have to comply with some requirements of the regulator and some requirements of the international standards on internal auditing standards by IAA. So in those situations, you have to comply with whole part of it. And not only this, actually they have to use some of the activities that are already done to avoid duplicate working. That is the reason that internal audit may have involvement with that. And in some of the institutions, and AOIFI also allow that, and some of the regulators allow that the head of internal audit and internal Sharia audit is the same person. So in that situation also there can be an ongoing involvement. Considering these factors, I think that this was the concern raised by Brother Abdullah Al-Khaldi, not by me. Thank you very much, sir, for your comment. We have question from Brother Abdul Latif Al Mahmood. Welcome, Brother. Salam. How external Sharia audits are seen with this new standard? Does the new standard manages the two role of financial audit and Sharia audit together? Brother Abdul Latif, it's an excellent question. As I mentioned earlier, an external Sharia audit is more detailed in scope. It has a very specific and more detailed scope. And as of now, from AOIFI's perspective, it is encouraged but not mandatory. Some countries have adopted it. We know that Bahrain, Oman, Pakistan, I think Malaysia, Kuwait in case of, I think, in capital market entities, some of the entities on the under the security in Pakistan, both ends, the central banking and the Takaful and others. So you can find different countries who have adopted the external Sharia audit requirements, but the financial audit requirements are are not clear everywhere. AOIFI has kept since beginning that the financial audit has to have a minimum consideration of Sharia aspects. Brother Abdul Latif, this time when we evaluated this question, we had two options: either to keep the Sharia requirements with the financial audit on a limited extent and keep external Sharia audit optional, or to completely segregate Sharia audit and external audit. The idea, we had multiple considerations in mind from that perspective. So let me first mention that from the external Sharia audit perspective, today it is not mandatory from AOIFI's perspective. And even if it becomes mandatory, it might become mandatory for public interest entities from AOIFI's perspective, which means that retail banks, retail institutions, not all Islamic financial institutions, but there might be some sukuk or other which might be subject to Sharia audit as well. While on the other hand, the financial audit is always mandatory everywhere. So the first part is, if you want the minimum consideration of Sharia audit everywhere in all institutions, it has to be covered along with financial audit. That is part one. But okay, forget about this part. Let's go to the conceptual part. In the beginning, I mentioned, brother, that there are, when we do our accounting is done with some additional concepts of qualitative information with regard to Sharia compliance, etc. We believe that the financial information needs of the Sharia conscious user of financial statement are not exactly like a conventional user of financial statements, which means that for this user of financial statement who is Sharia conscious, not only the monetary values are important, the quantitative information is important, but even the qualitative aspects are important. In addition, we considered that the compliance with laws and regulations is an important aspect here. And I highly appreciate comment by Dr. Abdurrahman and Razin, because he mentioned that it's a compliance audit type. The point is that if I am given a license for Islamic financial institution, it means that I now become subject to a specific set of regulation and subject to a specific set of contractual requirements. Sharia requirements, Sharia principles and rules are on one hand contractual requirements, and on the other hand, these are regulatory requirements in most situations. And they have a direct link with the financial part as well, because if you have any non-compliances or if you do not follow the contracts properly, all these things may have financial reporting implications. So from that perspective, we believe that you cannot completely delete the concept of Sharia compliance from the financial audit. Not only this, if you see that the foundation document, the formation documents of Islamic financial institutions also include the licensing documents. They also include the minimum requirements for compliance with Sharia principles and values. This impacts even the going concern assumption. This impacts so many different aspects of financial reporting audit that you cannot completely segregate it. So the only option that we had was either to make Sharia audit mandatory, and this one may just have a link with that. So in that situation, you say that external Sharia audit in line with, say, SOAA 6 become mandatory. And as Dr. Razin has mentioned, we must have a separate engagement letter, engage separate team for that. And in that situation, the financial auditor may just have a reference in a line that, okay, we are okay with the Sharia compliance because there is a Sharia audit being done. However, from the perspective of external Sharia audit being too much detailed, too much cumbersome, not relevant for every financial institution, particularly those who are not in public dealing at a retail level, like not public interest entities, in those situations, it will be too much overkill. Again, maybe I have taken too much time in trying to explain this point, but these were the aspects that were discussed at the public at the Professional Auditing Standards Committee and at the board at the time of developing the strategy for AOIFI, and as well as at the time of the preliminary research and the standard development of this exposure draft. So from that perspective, I think that there are so many issues that will be coming about this this one that you raised and very rightly raised. So I tried to take a bit more time on this one. I hope I'm able to answer, but we will still love to have your view. If you can mention specifically that, do you prefer that there should be external Sharia audit mandatory? Let me ask this question to everybody. Every participant today, if you can just Brother Rizwan, can we create a poll here, Brother Rizwan?
Let me try.
Okay, if we can create a poll here for everybody, what we need to have an answer is that, do you prefer that we keep option 1, that is right now, that is external auditor is responsible for a minimum bit of of Sharia compliance requirements, and external Sharia audit remains optional or recommended only? And option 2, that do you prefer that a financial audit should not have the Sharia audit considerations, and for external Sharia audit become mandatory for everybody, every institution, and they both have a reporting link to each other? So let's create a poll and see how the participants see about it.
Can you repeat the first one?
The first one is, if you can say that option 1 is as of now, what we have issued now. So the auditor will have minimum Sharia compliance considerations. The external auditor will have minimum Sharia compliance considerations, and the external Sharia audit will be recommended for public interest entities. Option 2, all Islamic financial institutions must have financial audit and external Sharia audit. Financial audit completely separate, external Sharia audit completely separate. Both of them may have a link to each other's report. Okay. So while Brother Rizwan is trying to create a poll for that, I think Dr. Abdurrahman Al-Razin has raised his hand. So let's listen to him first. Sir, please.
Whether to make it an option compulsory is a matter of regulatory requirements in any jurisdictions. We cannot require that. So
thank you very much. And that was the reason, sir.
To apply it.
Thank you very much, sir. And that was the reason that financial audit is mandatory all over the world. So if we get the minimum Sharia compliance within our scope, we do not need to ask the regulators to change the regulations. So the minimum requirement will be covered, and
they have to adapt to standards for the special consideration.
That's why, sir. Again, we have regulators who have adopted AOIFI's auditing standards. So for them, this consideration automatically gets adopted. But for and obviously we will be developing SOA 4, as I mentioned. We'll be developing additional guidelines for that, so that will be available.
But it's enough to have a statement as of today that you can't ascertain compliance with the AOIFI auditing standard unless you comply with all of the standards. That's enough.
A good comment, sir. Thank you very much. Let's take this comment also. Okay, let me try to take some comments from the QA box again. Qazi Murtaza Ali, sir, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining today. How do we demarcate the functions between Sharia auditor and auditor under this standard? Are they complementing each other or overlapping? Thanks. I think, Dr. Qazi, Brother Qazi Murtaza, sir, I think my answer to Brother Abdul Latif Al Mahmood was more or less covering this question as well. So I hope the answer is there already. Thank you very much for your kind question and comment. Muhammad Al-Qadusi, Islam, congratulations for the draft. Would like to discuss the added value of referring to the IIA standard, which would help in define the audit approach, methodology, audit documentation, audit planning, risk assessment, reporting, follow-up, etc. All should be from Sharia perspective. Thank you very much, Brother Muhammad. Brother Muhammad, we have covered this reference in our internal Sharia audit standard. Our internal Sharia audit standard has created a very clear reference to IIA standards, and it is significantly in compliance with that and requires additional compliance with IIA standards. But this is the external audit standard, so it may not have a reference with the IIA standard. Next comment is from Manal Rubian. Can I speak? Okay, please, anybody can allow. I think it's Sister Manal Rubian. Please, Brother Rizwan, if you can allow. Brother Abdurrahman Al Khaja also has has a comment by audio. Abdurrahman Al Khaja, Brother Rizwan, are you aligned? Manal Al Rubayyan and Abdurrahman Al Khaja. In the meanwhile, let me answer Brother Awais Khatri. Brother Awais Khatri very much agree with Mr. Abdullah. The thin line of demarcation between various governance and supervisory function has to be somewhere highlighted to specifically define the Sharia audit scope, which primarily will evaluate controls in place to ensure Sharia compliance. I think I cannot agree more. I fully agree that we need to define it more clearly. We need to identify the differences of the functions more clearly. Marjan, kindly make a note of it. Sister Alia, please make a note of it, because we need to clarify some of these things in, like, you know, some form, how those scopes are different, etc. So I think, again, I'm not sure whether we can put it in this standard, because the governance related functions scope will be identified on the governance side, and the audit and Sharia audit will be identified in this one. But I think we need to clarify it clearly. So I think that this is there. Let me just clarify one very important point here. If you see the approach in this standard, although all the requirements are there, but we can place significant reliance on the external Sharia audit. So if there is an external Sharia audit already being done, these more details are to be clarified in SOA 4. But if external Sharia audit is being done either by my own firm or by another firm, if I can place reliance on that, in that situation, my work on Sharia part will be very limited. So this is one thing that we need to understand, that this standard allows to place reliance significantly on the work of the external Sharia auditor. So if an external Sharia audit is there already, I can place maybe maximum reliance on that. I just need to, and particularly if it is being done by the same audit firm, like for example, a single audit firm is doing the financial audit of an IFI and also doing the Sharia audit of an IFI. They can have a review of the working papers of the Sharia audit side, and they can place maybe 95% reliance. They might not need any additional work at their end. On the other hand, if it is being done by another auditor, they can still place significant reliance. This is something that we are actually going to discuss in detail in the SOA 4, but even SOA 1 exposure draft include this aspect that you can place significant reliance on that. But again, thank you very much, brother, for your comment, and we would like to clarify the scope on both ends. I think we need to find some way of clarifying the scope of the governance organs and clarifying the scope of the audit functions very clearly. I think we did something for internal purposes. Let me see how we can make it public and how we can make it part of some of the standards. Brother Rizwan, have you allowed them to speak?
Yes, Manal is allowed to speak.
Okay, please go ahead.
Manal, are you with us? Maybe perhaps she's not. Maybe we can continue.
Abdurrahman Al Khaja.
Brother Abdurrahman, are you with us?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.
First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Khalid Ali. I'm actually I logged in using a different link due to technical issue, so apologies for that. Brother Umar, Jazakumullah khair, my dear audience. I would like to raise my sincere thanks and gratitude for everyone attending. I have a minor comment, if I may, regard the clause number 51 in the standard. This says, if the internal Sharia auditors are competent and objective. If, to be honest with you, Mr. Umar, if the internal Sharia auditors are competent and objective, they should be competent and objective. This is the basic. Otherwise, we would have a bigger problem in the governance itself of the Sharia structure within this organization. So all Sharia auditors must be competent and objective. They must have the CSAA. They must be qualified to do their. So just a matter of wording, I think.
It's an excellent comment. It's an excellent comment. But the point is, this is the auditing part. So if they are, and I assume, as you said, that they are, so in that situation, obviously, reliance can be placed. The purpose is to reduce the function, the additional audit requirements on the financial auditor. But we will try to find better wording. Thank you very much. We'll try to find better wording, like, yeah. Thank you very much.
The other thing, if I may, number 52, when internal Sharia auditors provide direct assistance, the auditor should supervise, review, evaluate, and test their work. I'm not going to add more on this point. I think my other colleagues have already spoken about. But don't you think this may affect the independence of the auditing in this essence?
Brother, this is similar to what is done by the financial auditor in case of internal audit. So auditing standards allow that the financial auditors, because there are at times there are very large organizations. So for example, I'm just giving you an example. For example, there is a large organization having like distributor network, and they need to have an inventory count, for example, at the end of the year. Now for the inventory, I'm just giving you an example as from the auditing practices. So from the inventory count, they might have 20 locations. My audit team is only 5 persons. They cannot reach 20 locations at the same time. So if the internal audit is covering remaining like they are covering 5 locations, and or maybe maximum they can cover 10 locations, like one on the 31st of December and one second location on 1st of January. So this way, like for example, they can cover 10 locations themselves by the team. But remaining 10 locations, if those are important to be covered, assuming those are important and significant to be covered, or comparatively less significant as compared to those selected by them. So remaining 10 can be covered by the internal audit team. This is a common auditing practice. In that situation, their work need to be supervised, assessed, and all that need to be done. This is just something that actually happens on the audit side. So this is something which is like in terms of principle, it is like similar principle has been replicated for the internal Sharia audit side. But for more clarification, again, this section is again one of the sections for which more clarification will be provided in the SOA 4, inshallah. Thank you very much for your comment, brother.
If I may, brother, I just want to add to Mr. Abdul Latif Al Mahmoud comment earlier. Well, in Bahrain here, we have the rule, we have the SG module that says that there should be an external Sharia audit for all the financial institutions. Maybe that reflects what my brother Abdul Latif was mentioning, because we do have this.
I agree with that, brother. But one thing I would like to mention here, that, for example, Bahrain is one good example. That's why, again, Bahrain adopts AAOIFI's maximum standards. But as of now, the governance module that you are referring to actually has a reporting format as well. The reporting format is with regard to mainly controls and compliance, not with regard to the overall Sharia compliance of the activities. If you see the opinion, that opinion is different from AAOIFI 6 opinion. So the problem is, again, Bahrain, we hope that Bahrain will be doing it shortly. And I think Brother Adnan Shafi's name, I was looking in the, when I was checking the list of participants from CBB, I think Brother Adnan Shafi was there. I don't know whether anybody else is also there, but the point is that from that perspective, if you see, brother, that that the opinion is different. So can you have an opinion with a different scope replacing an opinion with a different scope? So if the opinions are on the same scope, in that situation, I can put maximum reliance on that one. Even I can say that I fully rely on that and I just give my opinion clearly. Because when I do my normal audit, I didn't find anything not Sharia compliant. And then I saw that, okay, there is a separate full external Sharia audit with the same scope. In that situation, I'm perfectly all right. But in case of Bahrain, for example, the scope of that Sharia audit is slightly different. So this is again one of the issues that need to be addressed. I suggest, Brother Adnan, are you there? Brother Adnan Shafi was supposed to be attending, or anybody else from the CBB. So again, they can make a note of this point also, that this is something that needs to be aligned together, inshallah.
جزاكم الله خير. بارك الله فيكم وأحسن الله إليكم. Thank you very much.
Brother Adnan, you want to mention something here? Okay, I think he's attending, but maybe away for a while. Sister Manal, you want to say something? Otherwise, we can move ahead. Okay, we have a comment from Brother Al-Tijani. It is actually a comment, Dr. Tijani Al-Ahmed. Sir, thank you very much for joining. It is a great, honor to have you on board. I agree with the strategies mentioned. Thank you very much, sir. All common sense accounting standards should be adopted by AAOIFI. Thank you very much, sir. This is our approach. This is what we are following. And thank you very much for joining here, sir. Thank you. Most welcome. Then we have from Brother Awais Khatri, at UAE, we have central bank requirement to have separate Sharia audit function. Yes, Brother Awais, I think, but even the central bank regulation in UAE allows for having external Sharia audit as well. So in Sharia audit function has to be there, but it also allows having an external Sharia audit, which does not make it mandatory or recommended, but it allows. I'm not sure how many institutions in IFIs in UAE are actually having an external audit, but that I think that as per regulation is allowed and not mandatory, not recommended. We have comment from Brother.
Yes. There's a question by Brother Munir Ahmed.
Yeah, I was just going back to that one.
Yes.
And thank you very much, Brother Munir, for joining in. Assalamu alaikum. With regard to the term substance and in their legal form, it may not be restricted to legal form, rather it may need to be beyond legal form. For example, processes, structures, etc. Brother Munir, when we talk about legal form, the legal form is the contract, and substance is actually what actually executes. And in between the execution and the contract are the processes, etc. Structure is part of legal form. Contract is part of legal form. But processes are actually used to convert, or the manuals, policies and procedure manual, SOPs, etc. They are actually to convert that legal form into substance. So there is, we don't need any third comment on that. Normally, the term used is always substance and form, or substance and legal form, or substance or legal form. Thank you very much, Brother Munir. Brother Abdul Latif Al Mahmood has another comment. Further to the point mentioned by Abdurrahman Al Razin, what is meant by primary versus supplementary opinions? Are we providing something other than reasonable assurance? We are providing reasonable assurance on both opinions as of now. So the first opinion is with regard to right now, if you recall, AAOIFI's standard, current auditing standard #1, and the audit report standard #2, and the auditing guidelines that are issued by AAOIFI, they all put one single opinion paragraph. One single opinion paragraph says that it has to be the true and fair view of Sharia, or true and fair view of the financial statements reflect a true and fair view of the financial activities. and the state of affairs. But there is another opinion within the same paragraph which says that the entity has complied with Sharia rules and principles, not principles and rules, rules and principles defined by the Sharia board. We have changed the second part as a supplementary opinion, and we made two changes to that. One is we made it separate. Secondly, the new term that we use is Sharia principles and rules. Now, this Sharia principles and rule term, which is defined in AAOIFI's governance standards and auditing standards, now we are redefining it in the auditing standard as well. So this term is not confined to Sharia board only. This has its own hierarchy of Sharia principles and rules, starting from the AAOIFI Sharia standards, central bank Sharia regulations, central Sharia boards rulings, AAOIFI financial accounting standards, as far as they have the Sharia considerations, and the Sharia board of the institution. So instead of the powers of defining Sharia, which were as per our existing auditing standard in the hand of the Sharia board alone, now in line with the AAOIFI's auditing standards, AAOIFI governance and accounting standards, this has been explained in form of the hierarchy. So the two opinions are now completely separate. First part is that we segregated the two opinions, and second part is that we defined the second opinion more clearly. So, Brother Abdul Latif, this is one of the major changes that we are bringing in. Again, why we distinguished as a supplementary opinion, because primary opinion is quite similar to the conventional opinion. So from that perspective, we did not want to add too many of the requirements. As Dr. Abdurrahman Al-Razin has said, that we have this standard is more like a specific considerations standard. So we have added more of the specific considerations related to the supplementary opinion, but obviously there are some specific considerations with regard to the primary opinion as well. So opinion as of now and the new opinion under the proposed standard will be principally the same, but with regard to their application and with regard to their distinction and demarcation, we have segregated them. Brother Abdurrahman Al-Sheikh, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to voice my comment. So Brother Abdurrahman Al-Sheikh, okay, he's allowed. Okay, please go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Dr. Ansari and Brother Ridwan, for this excellent hearing. I just have a few comments regarding Brother Khalid Ali. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Brother Khalid Ali, regarding the competency issue he had, I think you probably meant competent and in the specific assignment. For example, accounting or IT, the auditor who's auditing these assignments need to be competent in this field. I think this clarification is important, I think, because not everybody is competent in IT auditing or accounting auditing. So probably that's clarification. And regarding the external Sharia audit, I recommend Dr. Ansari is to go along with the IAA standards once every 5 years. If we're going to have an external Sharia audit, I recommend to have it once every 5 years, just like the IAA standards and just like internal audit. It doesn't need to be annually.
Thank you very much, sir. Second point is noted, and we'll take it. I'm really sorry. I'm just missing the first point. Can you kindly quickly repeat that one?
Regarding the competence.
Competence. Thank you very much. On the competence part, we have referred to ISQM, International Standard on Quality Management, which makes sure that you need to have a competent team for the audit. We have put the requirement for acceptance of audit that you cannot accept an audit of an Islamic financial institution unless you have a competent team for that. Competence means that for that purpose, you need to have expertise on that area. Forget about Islam. Just think of oil and gas industry. So there are particularly oil exploration, etc. There are some very complex sort of needs there. You cannot accept even for a common financial institution, a big size financial institution. Every auditor cannot handle that. They might not have enough team in terms of number. They cannot have enough team in terms of quality and the abilities. They may not have the IT audit capability because significant information systems are used for the for the banks and the Islamic and the financial institution. So even for a conventional financial institution, you must have ability on that side. We have used that there is a term used by ISAs, International Standards on Auditing, with regard to use of auditors expert. We have expanded on that term of or use of auditors expert, which include the tax expert, the derivative expert, the IT expert, etc. We have added the Sharia expert in that for that purpose, so that you need to have Sharia expert available, that is like a Sharia advisor or a consultant who is actually part of the team, giving enough time in the team. And obviously we have put a requirement that even the normal team has to be competent enough. So we have put these requirements through competency and acceptance and through ISQC or ISQM requirements compliance.
Excellent, Doctor. Yeah, because a Sharia auditor cannot audit on IT if he does not have the experience or the certifications to audit these. Also, the external Sharia auditor also at the same time should not audit the audit team if they do not have the experience, because we noticed
exactly fully agree.
We noticed many of these big four firms that come to and audit us, many of them do not have the expertise nor the credentials.
Thank you very much. I fully agree with you. Thank you very much. I fully agree with you. And to be honest, now I'm getting concerned on one thing. To be honest, it's excellent discussion going on. We have got excellent comments, but we haven't yet opened the slides as yet. More than half time of the event has gone.
No need to open the slides.
Yeah.
No need.
Anyway, we have time left, but let me first try to quickly answer some other comments that we have received. Some of the comments are, brother Abdurrahman, please.
Yes, Jazakallah khair. And brother, also regarding, mashallah, you've entered into internal audit and controls and frameworks. So I recommend if AOIFI can do a certification for auditing controls and frameworks in the organization. I think that would help us to increase our skills and competency, don't you think?
Thank you very much, Brother Abdurrahman Al-Sheikh. And we have two comments. I'm going to answer them quickly together because they are together comments.
Okay.
Dr. Samia Taslim has a comment. How can I get the fellowship? I'm an Islamic finance student. Brother Ibrahim Amin, is AOIFI mandatory to do the external Sharia audit? I believe you are talking about AOIFI fellowship or AOIFI qualification. So in a nutshell, I would like to mention that AOIFI has its own qualifications in multiple areas. One of them is Certified Islamic Professional Accountant Program, which covers auditing at a reasonable level, detailed, and obviously it has Sharia and accounting, financial accounting. Obviously, for SEPA, financial accounting standards are at the basic. We have our Certified Sharia Auditor and Advisor program as of now, which is towards the end. And now we are going to launch the new program divided in two programs. One of them will be Certified Sharia Advisor program, and the other one will be Certified Sharia Auditor program. The new Certified Sharia Auditor program will be more comprehensive, more close as compared to the old program. And it will be like, close to what we are having in SEPA program, but the main difference will be the SEPA program is having more focus on auditing, accounting, and less on auditing, while the Certified Sharia Auditor program will have more focus in audit and Sharia audit and less on the accounting. But otherwise, their content will be quite close to each other, because some of the aspects are on the accounting and auditing side. The concepts are to be like, clear on both ends. So from that perspective, we have these two qualifications already in place. I suggest anybody who want to have relevant expertise, they need to work on that. I think Central Bank of Bahrain has put SEPA as one of the fit and proper criteria elements for some of the positions. Even for auditors, SEPA and CSA programs should eventually become a part of the fit and proper criteria, because in light of what Dr. Razin has mentioned, with light of whatever comments you guys have mentioned, that it is important that programs are there. Again, we do not insist on only the AOIFI programs. We believe that there should be universities. We are working with some of the universities who are working with us for our programs. And I believe that this is something that cannot be done by AOIFI alone, and more work needs to be done on that part. Thank you very much, all of you, for your kind comments. As of now, having SEPA or CSA is not mandatory for doing audit or external Sharia audit of Islamic financial institutions. But as per AAOIFI auditing standard number 6, we have put some fit and proper criteria which needs to be considered. Obviously, that SEPA and CSA programs actually meet that. We have comment from Susan Aoudi. What are the requirements to be a Sharia auditor, and does he must have Sharia and financial background? Yes, we believe that Sharia audit as a team must have Sharia and financial background. So it is possible that one person is from the Sharia side and one from the financial audit side, and they together make a team. So our standard number 6 has some details with regard to those fit and proper criteria and the minimum requirements of the firms who can perform a Sharia audit. So that is covered in Sharia standard number 6, which allows either an audit firm to have Sharia expertise or to have specialized Sharia audit firms having or Sharia advisors as well as auditors working together. Alone, it cannot be worked. Very rarely you will find somebody having knowledge on both ends. Sheikh Suleiman Al-Rai, Article 49 needs to be amended as the internal audit shall not perform any assessment of internal Sharia audit, including Islamic windows. Sir, we are not requiring internal audit to perform any assessment. We are saying that external auditor has to perform that assessment only to the extent to assess whether its work can be used or not. So from that perspective, there is no conflict of interest and no independence issue. But we will take your comment. Thank you very much. The same procedure for an internal auditor must be followed by an independent external auditor who is external Sharia auditor. Sharia audit function must establish standards for measuring the quality of their performance in accordance with best practices and present them periodically to the board audit committee. Thank you very much. Your comments are well taken, sir. But I just try to answer you that we are not requiring internal auditors to do the assessment of external auditor. No, of internal Sharia auditor. Okay, Brother Rizwan, I think Brother Rizwan has created a poll. I need to launch that poll. Okay.
I'm launching.
Oh, I launched it already. I saw the question. So I think that poll is now available. So all of you are asked to answer these requirements. These two questions. All of you are requested, please. Thank you very much. Brother Owais has a comment for menti.com for poll. Thank you very much. I think poll is now working. You are also requested to comment. Dr. Musa Al-Habshi, option 1, financial audit should include considerations including Sharia opinion. Thank you very much, sir. Kindly respond on the poll as well. Brother Abdullah Khaldi has written his comment as well. My comment was simply, I guess the auditor should refer back to SSB reporting on the Sharia evaluation of the AAOIFI. Auditor's role should be integrated, not duplicated or overlapped with the internal controls like internal auditor or the SSB. Thank you very much, Brother Abdullah. Your comment is well noted. Inshallah, we'll take it to the PSC and to the board. Sister Mariam Kudrat, as an auditor, I feel you cannot do things separately. Full picture should be there when we audit completeness. I personally fully agree with you. So I would suggest if you answer in the poll as well. Thank you very much for your kind comment. Brother Sadaqat Khan, welcome, sir. Thank you very much. People like you always, encourage us to senior people like you attending our public hearings, always encourage us. Can you answer on the poll also? You mentioned option 2, so kindly answer on the poll also. Susan Audi, certification is required to be a Sharia auditor. As of now, it is not required, but we have our qualifications which should be required as of now. The criteria is quality assurance and competence. Now, how you assure quality assurance and competence? For that, obviously, you need to have the right blend of qualifications. But as of AOP, again, one thing is very important. AOP never mentions SEPA or CSAA as part of its standard as a competence requirement. because it will create a conflict of interest for AOIFI itself. So we are very clear that we keep our capacity building requirements separate from our standards. And we believe that as AOIFI, we need, as institution, we need to do more and more on the capacity building in the market, but we do not put these requirements in our standards ourselves. However, we encourage, as an institution, we encourage regulators to put these requirements in the fit and proper criteria. Some of them have already done it, and we hope that it will be done in future as well. So as of now, I think it's not required, but yes, it is obviously preferred because the requirement of competence and quality assurance are there. Brother Ammar Ali, how our IT audit are seen with the new standard? IT audit as a part of external audit is part of international standards on auditing. We have also touched upon that, and we believe that some of the Sharia aspects also cannot be ensured unless you perform the IT audit. For example, when AOIFI certifies the IT software in core banking software, etc., we see the functionality of how the standards are integrated into the IT system. So I believe that the auditors also have to see from the IT perspective as to how the controls are there. For example, in case of Murabaha, you cannot sell the goods unless you get the possession first. So how it is ensured through the IT system is done by ensuring that the Sharia principles and rules are integrated into the IT system. And that means that IT audit has to take into consideration these aspects as well. However, we have not gone for too much detail in this standard. Again, this is one of the aspects that we may need to come up with some guidance in future, inshallah. Marjan, if you can take a note of it, it's a very important point. When we develop detailed guidance on the on that part, we need to mention what specific aspects are to be considered during the IT audit of the institution with regard to Sharia compliance.
Right.
Thank you very much, Brother Ammar Ali, for an excellent comment. Brother Abdurrahman Al Sheikh again. Okay, you spoke already, so I hope it's okay. Brother Muhammad Saifullah Azad, for AAOIFI, central bank and internal audit have pertinent roles to ensure audit governance. External auditor can play required impact on quality audit results if relevant further supervision is ensured from central bank and internal audit. How this can be incorporated in framework of auditing? Brother Saifullah, thank you very much. It's a good comment, but that is a governance and regulatory level comment, not an audit level comment. I cannot put these things on in an auditing standard that these things should be done, because the auditing standard would put requirements only on the auditor as to how he has to do it. Only one thing, I think we touched upon this thing, but I will just make sure. Sister Marjan, please make a note of it that if the central bank has a Sharia oversight function or a Sharia compliance inspection function, so in that situation, the auditor can place reliance on its reports as well. I think we touched, I remember we discussed this thing during the working group at some stage and the preliminary study, but I cannot recall exactly whether it was finally incorporated in the standard or not. I think this is one of the aspects that is more related to SOA 4, not to this standard. Yes, please.
Yes, I was saying that it might have been that we thought of elaborating it in SOA 4.
Yeah, I believe that it is more in the part of SOA 4. So it's a very good comment from that aspect. We just need to make sure, because I recall we discussed it, but we just need to make sure that it is covered in SOA 4 with regard to placing reliance on any supervisor's inspection functions. Thank you very much, brother. Again, we have comment from Saleh Al-Balushi that dependency of the external auditor and the Sharia auditor should be on external financial auditor and not the way around. Because the external financial auditor work should be reviewing all work in the terms of accounting and assuring all transactions, while the Sharia auditor and external Sharia auditor should review the controls and transactions on sample basis. So it's actually a good comment. It's actually a good comment. Let's see how we incorporate it. We'll take it and we'll see how we need to incorporate this one. These aspects how we need to incorporate. Thank you very much, Brother Saleh Al-Balushi. All the comments that we are receiving today will obviously be sorted out and they will be incorporated, inshallah, Again, we do not guarantee that these will be incorporated the way you want it, but the point is those all will be considered by the Professional Auditing Standards Committee, inshallah.
Brother Umar, just a reminder that we are heading towards a break.
Yes, the break.
But
I was just
interaction,
I was just thinking, and still there are so many questions.
Yes, so
So
looking at the
what I
interaction, we may
suggest,
want to continue.
brother, I think, brother Rizwan, what I suggest is we take a break anyway. We need to take a break for prayers. So it's prayer time in Bahrain already, and in some other parts of the world also. I think I still have 19 plus questions here. So what I'm suggesting that the public hearing for today, we may not be able to cover all slides. So I would suggest to the team that we may hold the next public hearing maybe shortly, in which we will because today we have discussed mainly the conceptual part, the strategy part, the overall approach part. So the second one we may keep focus more on the standard text. But again, we'll try to cover as maximum as possible today. At least I'll take you through the standard, but still I have 19 questions before after the break, before I can take you through the slides. So with that, I think it's 12:05. We take a 10 minutes or 15 minutes break, brother Rizwan?
10 minutes, but as you like.
Okay, let's take a 15 minutes break because people need to pray. Maybe somebody want to grab a cup of tea, etc. So let's take a 15 minutes break. So we join back at 12:20 Bahrain time. And but honestly, I'm so much overwhelmed with these questions, and I highly appreciate your very active participation. So looking forward to have all of you back. I think we have nearly 160 plus people here right now. So let's continue after the break of 15 minutes. Looking forward to have you all after the break also. Thank you very much. Brother Rizwan, I think we should start. It's 2 minutes above the time.
Yes, please. Bismillah.
Okay.
We lost some people, but inshallah they'll come back.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back again after the break. I think we have, as I mentioned, I think earlier there were 19 questions. Now I can see 21, and I can see the polls also. Again, I request anybody who has not responded to the poll, continue responding to the poll, but we can see that that the people in favor of a complete separate financial audit and Sharia audit are nearly double the normal number. Again, it's a very important feedback. I cannot assure anything that can be done by the board or the Professional Auditing Standards Committee, but for sure, this is a very important feedback that we need to take. So it's not concluded as yet. I think we can see still some more comments coming in. There we have we had nearly 160 plus participants. Now we have 130 plus still. Answers that we received are 109 till now. So I think towards the end of this session, we will see the situation. But I would request Sister Marjan and Alia to keep a note of the poll situation towards the end, inshallah.
Yes, inshallah.
Okay. Now coming back to the discussion that we were having, and first let's have answered some of the questions. Okay, one of the comments was from Manala Rubayan. She wanted to talk. I don't know whether she's available or not. Maybe not. Okay, so let me drop this one now. Okay, now we have Brother Yasir and Yasir and Nafisa. Do you think, brothers, reasonable assurance as a concept goes along with the objective of giving assurance with regard to developing financial statement that is complying with the Sharia principles, which are assumed to be captured by AAOIFI accounting standard? Stakeholders who are interested in the Islamic financial institution compliance with Sharia principle may not be satisfied with such level of assurance. It's a very good point. But the problem is absolute assurance cannot be given for Sharia compliance ever. So what is the form of, because all type of auditing, even if you try to do 100% audit, even 100% audit will not be able to give you 100% reporting, because audit has its own inherent limitations. So first one is obviously the sample. Even if you increase the sample size to make it 100, still other inherent limitations will be there. For example, the first one is that that audit is a post facto exercise. Even if it's a financial audit or a Sharia audit, you were not present at the time when the things were actually happening. So you cannot have it 100% situation. Similarly, some of the things are dependent on documentation. So if the documentation was okay, but the compliance level was bad, how you are going to address that? So brother, reasonable assurance is the only level of assurance that can be provided by anybody. Even on the design part, when our ulama actually they give the fatwa, in the end they say wallahu alam, which means that they put a disclaimer there that okay, I tried my level best, but Allah knows the best. So the point is that absolute assurance is not possible. Above reasonable assurance, what can be is actually absolute assurance. So we are not talking about limited assurance. Review is a limited assurance. Again, reasonable assurance means that it has to be reasonable. You cannot say that any Tom, Dick, and Harry can stand and say, okay, I give a reasonable assurance. No, you need to have a proper competence. You need to have proper system. You need to have proper process. So from all these perspectives, I personally believe that even the financial statement audit can provide reasonable assurance with regard to Sharia as well. Our Sharia standard ASFI 6, which will become SOA 6, also has reasonable assurance. It's an independent assurance exercise, but it also has reasonable assurance from the Sharia standpoint. So, Brother Yasir, I take your comment. You want the level of Sharia compliance to be stronger, but my humble suggestion is that reasonable assurance is the best that you can have from professionals. You can have some non-professionals who will stand up and say, oh, I guarantee it 100%. But a professional can never guarantee something 100%. We have Sanani Khalil from Bank of Algeria. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining in. In Algeria, we have officially adopted Islamic finance activity since 2020, but not yet having a mechanism for external audit. What is the best process to activate a robust external audit function? My quick submission is that, there is no need to reinvent the wheel. We are also not reinventing the wheel. Wherever the conventional is good, we try to adopt it or refer to it. Same situation is that what we recommend to all regulators, all new entrants, and that instead of reinventing the wheel, try to go for standardization, try to adopt the relevant standards from AAOIFI, IFSB, and other standard setting bodies like IFM. The point is that whatever has happened in this world and before you started over, and on a light note, at times we say that it is a first mover advantage and there is a last mover advantage as well. We normally refer to it in case of Oman as a last mover advantage because Oman started Islamic finance at a much later stage as compared to other GCC countries and South Asian countries and the Southeast Asian and other countries. So you will see, and some of the African countries. So you will see that Oman has a very good growth and they started with very good foundation because they had the last mover advantage in a lighter note. Means that they moved after a lot of experiences that had already happened in GCC and other regions, and they had learned from their mistakes. They had learned from the standards that were already developed. So from day one, Oman adopted AAOIFI's standards and IFSB standards and came up with a very good governance framework and came up with some stricter Sharia requirements as compared to some other markets where comparatively lenient Sharia requirements were there. So the result was that probably Oman is the fastest growing market for Islamic finance since the day it started, and probably it will continue to go on. This is the same thing that we suggest to any of the new coming markets for Islamic finance. Then don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't think that, oh, keeping lenient will make the things easier. No, sorry. It will not let you start the things on the right foundations. If you want to start the things at the right foundations, give a sound and resilient Islamic financial system. You want to have sound and resilient institutions. In that situation, you should be coming up with immediate adoption of AAOIFIs and IFSBs and other relevant standards in order to make sure that the standardized practices are there. The work that has been done by AAOIFI and IFSB in last 3 decades and 2 decades and other standard setting bodies, etc., that is actually something that can help you significantly. And obviously it has collective wisdom. So again, I'm sorry I've taken long time on this comment, but this is very important for the new entrants in the market to understand that trying for doing everything again and from scratch is not the right solution. Things are already developed, they are ready. Not only this, it will attract the right talent. There are a lot of people who have studied for AAOIFI standards. There are a lot of people who have got fellowships from AAOIFI. You will have a lot of opportunities available to attract the talent across borders. You will have your talent working across borders. So many things are there which are benefits of standardization. And the real solution is having the right set of standards adopted, including AAOIFI's and IFSB standards. Thank you very much for joining in again, and we hope that this journey that has just started 2 years back will go in a fast track, inshallah. Thank you again. We have Sukrija Ramich from Sarajevo. Dr. Sukrija, thank you very much for joining in. It's a great pleasure to have you from Bosnia, Sarajevo. International standards, for the most part, represent the highest goals pursued by Sharia. I believe that it should be recognized, used, and supplemented when there is need. Also, I believe that all standards should be simplified, and one day a general standard could be created. We hope and we pray for that. But to be honest, first thing is, yes, wherever we believe that there is no non-compliance with Sharia principles and rules, and there is no value addition that can be done by AAOIFI, we do not go for it. So as Dr. Abdurrahman Al-Razin in the morning in the earlier session mentioned, that this is a summary of like 1,000 pages of ISAs into 40 pages. So how you can do that summary? We could do the summary only in 2 ways. Number one, we mentioned only the core principle of each item, like going concern, like related parties. So we mentioned only the going concern. Secondly, we only mentioned the core concept which are relevant to to the value addition part that we are mentioning. So from that perspective, we did not repeat anything from 1000 pages. So those 1000 pages of ISAs are still applicable in addition to this standard. And yes, we hope and we pray that standard setting comes to the hands of Muslims eventually. And we hope that eventually we may be able to work together with global standard setting bodies so that they accept the requirements and value addition part that we are doing as a part of their own requirements. So we hope and we pray for that, inshallah. Thank you very much again for joining in from Sarajevo, and we hope that your continuous participation will be there in future as well. Thank you again. We have another comment from Brother Ibrahim. I mean, is the AOIFI recommended and mandatory to do external Sharia audits in FIs? I think I answered this one already. I think that AOIFI standards are adopted in if you are talking about Brother Ibrahim, okay, I answered this part, but can you clarify? Are you talking about okay. Now I can try to read it again. Is the AOIFI recommend and mandatory to do the external Sharia audit forms in external Sharia audits and IFIs? AOIFI has made it recommended but not mandatory. AOIFI and IFSB have come up with the exposure draft of a revised Sharia governance framework as a joint standard, and that one actually also mentions it as a recommended one, not as a mandatory one. It is still not finalized, so the final version, as we expect, will have it as recommended and not mandatory. So external Sharia audit is a recommended good practice, but not a mandatory one. Brother Dr. Muhammad Abdullah has a question. Do the IIA recognize AOIFI standards? Unfortunately, we haven't. It is not the situation. They do not recognize AOIFI standards, although we create a reference to their standards. Secondly, with regard to International Accounting Standard Board, we have some ongoing connection with IFAC. We also create connection in the past. We might need to work again on that part, but with IIA, unfortunately, we did not have a connection. We can consider this one. It's a very important point. Let me make a note of it. Brother Rizwan, if you can kindly make a note of it, that with Institute of Internal Auditors, we need to create some connection and try to have some meetings to let them understand what AOIFI does and how we complement their standards on the Sharia side. We have a comment from Dr. Samia Taslim. Any university with your link in Pakistan? In Pakistan, there are 3 universities that are working with us, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 4. IBA, Institute of Business Administration, is the most prominent one, which is actually active as well in offering our programs. We have IOBM, Institute of Business Management. We have a contract with the RIFI. We worked with RIFI University, but they are not offering right now the program. I think we are working very actively with Minhaj University Lahore. They are AOIFI's member as well. We are working with I think UMT as well. We have worked with UMT as well. Some of them are offering actively our programs and some of them are not offering actively our programs, but IBA and Minhaj University Lahore are the more active ones in Pakistan. Dr. Sami, again, we have a question which is not exactly relevant, but again, can women work as Sharia auditors? Any women fellowship programs? We don't have any specific programs out of our CSA qualified people or SEPA qualified people. I think there is a good enough number on the Sharia audit side. We know some of the ladies who are working in Sharia audit departments, even as head of Sharia audit department in Bahrain. And we hope that obviously, from AOIFI's perspective, we believe in equal opportunity while maintaining our values from the religious values. So we believe fully in the equal opportunity, but while maintaining our values. So this is the AOIFI's style from that perspective, while maintaining our religious values, all activities from the Islamic finance perspective are encouraged by AOIFI. Which includes, obviously, we have, as I mentioned, we have a lot of fellowship fellows who are ladies, and we have some, we can identify some very senior level people as well, including, as I mentioned, one lady I can recall in Bahrain, and now we have some of the ladies who are members of the Sharia boards in some jurisdictions as well. Options or answers to select are not visible for poll. Brother Owais Khatri has a comment. I think if you bring your cursor on that, you will see the full question. Or if you increase the size of the window, you will see the full question. I think you still need to bring your cursor on that to see the full question. But I think the question is fully there. Only thing is that you need to bring your cursor to that. We are also learning, a lot of things we also learn ourselves in this process. So this was good that we learned how to conduct a poll during a public hearing event. It's very good experience that we did for the first time, and I think we'll be needing it going forward as well. Brother Abdurrahman Al-Sheikh has a comment again. I think there will be a clash with internal audit if the clause insists that we assess the internal audit function. Thank you very much, sir. We will change the wording, as our brother Abdullah Khaldi mentioned. So we'll try to change the wording in a way that it's not about assessment of the persons. It's more about assessment of the quality that is produced, so as to enable the auditor to place reliance on that. You cannot just say that auditor can go and place reliance on them without assessing them. It's not possible. So there has to be something. Obviously, we need to amend the wording in a more like sophisticated way, in a manner that it does not create a direct conflict. We'll try to do that. Brother Abdullah Khaldi had made comment again. My comment was simply one, guess the auditor should refer back to SSB reporting on the Sharia evaluation of the IFI, not the auditor opinion. Auditor's role should be integrated, not duplicated or overlapped with the internal controls like internal auditor or the SSB. Brother Abdullah, I think I had responded to that part, that SSB cannot do the implementation part. Implementation part has to be done by either external Sharia auditor or the financial auditor, or both of them together as a single function. But you cannot say that a Sharia board report can include the aspects of implementation. The second thing, the current draft did not mention any of the other control functions about this. Again, I think this is repetition of your comments, sir. We note that we have not mentioned them because these are covered in the conventional part. If we can try to incorporate it, we'll see how we can do. But otherwise, we did not consider most of them because they did not have any specific value addition from our perspective, and international standards on auditing covered that. Number 3, if IFI team's competencies requirement is in the mandate of the auditors, then the C-level should be covered as well, since IFI fails mainly due to HR resources. Thank you very much. No disagreement at all. Only thing is that this is, this overall management control environment and governance level are also covered in line with generally accepted auditing principles, that is international standards on auditing, and even AOIFI requires that you need to assess the management quality and the governance quality. So those requirements are already there. The further requirements are obviously not part of audit, and they are part of governance. Thank you very much, sir. Brother Ammar Al-Qasir, we understand that para 49 is in place to assist the auditor in assessing the risk when planning the audit. However, in my opinion, the para need to be rephrased. Thank you very much. Yes, we will improve the wording. Thank you very much, sir. Hussein Al-Mehdar, thank you for this wonderful advanced discussion. We hope that we could develop compliance and auditing modules on on-site inspection, develop the training functions and certification for the 2 qualifications. Brother Hussein, can you kindly mention from which central bank you are? I can see you are from a central bank. For me personally, my first major experience for Islamic finance was developing the Sharia compliance inspection manual. So this is something very close to my heart personally, and it is probably a part of some long-term long-term planning for AOIFI. I think I was doing some long-term planning, I had covered some part of it. There is only one issue whether AOIFI has mandate over it or not, because IFSB has a mandate on what needs to be done by the regulators. But on the Sharia compliance inspection part, I doubt that they will be doing anything. So maybe in future we'll be coming up with something on this. Thank you very much. I request Sister Alia and Sister Marjan to please make a note of this very important suggestion with regard to the on-site inspection, the Sharia aspects in the on-site inspection, or a full Sharia compliance on-site inspection standard or guidelines that might be needed from AOIFI side. So this is something very important, and obviously certification part as well. So training part and certification part is also important. I think we are doing some capacity development work for regulators already, but I think we must offer this Sharia compliance on-site inspection part and for the regulators. I think this is again a very important point. I would suggest to forward Brother Rizwan, if you can just make a note of it and forward it to Brother Farhan for additional discussion internally. I think this is something very important. We need to offer it to the regulators. I think it is part of some of these programs might be part of the Regulatory Research and Development Center that we are planning. So I hope that it will work, inshallah. Brother Ibrahim Amin, do AOIFI suggest to segregate the internal controls as an independent department from the internal audit department? Brother Ibrahim, we have a Sharia compliance department and the Sharia compliance function. The standard number 9 Sharia compliance function and Sharia compliance department, actually they address the internal controls related to Sharia. Other internal controls we do not address. So the internal audit and normal internal control are not within AOIFI's ambit, but from the AOIFI's ambit, what is there is internal Sharia audit and Sharia compliance. So we have segregated internal Sharia audit function from internal Sharia compliance function. Sharia compliance function includes the policies, procedures, controls, and it also includes the Sharia compliance department. So from that perspective, we do not go into the conventional domain, but from the Sharia domain, we have actually segregated both of them. Susan Audi has another comment. Sharia internal auditor must give an opinion on the Sharia compliance, or it's required only for external Sharia auditor. According to AOIFI Sharia internal Sharia audit standard, internal opinions are required. Dr. Susan Audi has another comment. In point 26 of the standard, the auditor is responsible to identify and assess the risk of material misstatement, whether due to fraud and error at the financial statement and assertion levels. But for the IIA standard, internal auditors should not investigate fraud unless they have the specific experience and expertise required to do. Thank you very much, Susan. I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing any name incorrectly. To be honest, nobody can be expert in pronouncing all the names correctly, but my apologies if I'm mispronouncing it. Internal audit, this is the external audit standard. The external audit standard is not requiring to investigate the fraud. It is saying that you need to identify and assess the risk of material misstatement due to fraud and error. So these are two different things. Investigating fraud is not within even the ambit of the external auditor, but obviously if a fraud is identified, he needs to see the final impact of it in the financial statement. From that perspective, he needs to go in further details for that. But with regard to assessment of the risk of material misstatement is important, because without this, you cannot do the risk assessment for the audit purposes as required by the ISAs or required by the AOIFI. So from those perspective, actually, it becomes very much necessary to assess the risk, and based on that risk assessment, you will actually have to plan and perform your work and procedures. Thank you very much again. There is a comment from an anonymous attendee. That is one request from everybody, that if your name is appearing as anonymous, please rename it to your original name. Assalamu alaikum. What is the specific objective or scope need to be considered during the engagement of IT audit and Sharia audit, or it should be good know about, or it it is good to know about Sharia audit. Thank you very much. It's again as a very important comment. I think somebody earlier also touched upon this point. So I requested Sister Marjan to make a note of it, that what are the specific considerations of IT audit during, again, this IT audit, we are talking about the IT audit function within the external financial audit. Again, there are independent IT audits by the organization themselves. We are not talking about that one. We are talking about, because the scope of this standard is on the financial audit. In the financial audit, particularly the financial audit of financial statements of Islamic financial institutions, you have significant reliance placed on the information systems and the IT systems. For that purpose, you need to perform the minimum audit procedures on the IT system, IS system. This is the area where we need to provide additional guidance specific to the audit of Islamic financial institutions, that when IT assessment is done, in IS information system assessment is done, in that stage, what are the specific considerations to be covered from the Sharia standpoint? This is something that we need to add as a part of the guidelines or part of the specific considerations. We'll see either in the upcoming SOA 4 we need to include it, or the guidelines that we are planning, we have to include it. Thank you very much for your comments. Brother Juma Saleh has thanked me. Thank you very much, brother. Thanks to all of you for being here today. Now, all the questions are answered. I can see the hand raised by Dr. Abdul Rahman. Dr. Abdul Rahman, please.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just on formatting comments, I noticed that many of the definitions are the verbatim phrase of the International Standard of Auditing. And I assume that the auditor that will perform the audit of financial institution is the chartered auditor that comply with the international standard in general. So I suggest that any standard that's not specific to any terminology or definition not specific to the standard to be removed. So it's you will not have the burden to update all these if there is any update on this kind of standard of definitions, and include only those definitions that being amended for the sake of the standard.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
And you'll avoid also the problem of copyright and
yeah, I fully agree with you, sir. Some of them, I think none of them shall be verbatim. The policy as AAOIFI is that at times we change them as per scope difference. But if I fully agree, if there is a definition that is coming verbatim from ISAs, that does not need to be reproduced.
Most of them actually.
Yeah. We will see that, sir. Thank you very much for this comment. And I personally agree with your comment. So we'll see how we incorporate your comment, sir. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Okay, now I have the time to show my presentation. I will not share the presentation because presentation is exactly as the standard. So what I will do is that in next nearly 10 to 12 minutes, I'll just give a brief about the standard and the contents of the standard. We'll not take any questions in between. I'll very quickly brief about the standard, and we'll request all the participants to have a look at the standard at their free time and provide some comments in writing. And obviously, we'll be holding the next public hearing. In the next public hearing, we'll start directly instead of the conceptual discussion that we had today. We will be going directly towards the standard text, which will be shown in presentation. So right now, I'm going to just show the screen. Before that, I would just like to mention that in the poll result, 40 out of 118, that is 34% of the participants today have voted that the requirements should be as per this standard. 68%, 66%, that is 78 out of 118 votes have mentioned about separate the requirements of financial audit and Sharia audit as two separate engagements with access to each other's report. Thank you very much. This view presently is against the view formally taken by the board and the Professional Auditing Standard Committee. But this is one of the most important comments that we have received. So from that perspective, we will have a look at it as to how either we completely follow this requirement or we try a middle ground that finds a middle ground between the two. But for sure, obviously, this is a very important comment as a summary comment. I don't know, brother Rizwan, can the results of the poll saved separately? Otherwise, may I request the team to just take a note of it that 40 out of 118, that is 34, are in favor of keeping the requirements safe as presented in this standard, and 78 out of 118, that is 66%, are in favor of separating completely the requirements of financial audit and Sharia audit and having a link together in the report.
I've taken a screenshot, Brother Omar, if
Okay.
in case.
Will be recorded. It's okay.
Okay.
I'll end the
recording is
poll now.
Yeah, you can end. We can end the poll now. Let me end the poll. Okay, share results. Okay, the brother Rizwan, it is giving a share results option. Is it giving share results to you also? Okay, so
You can download them, so it's okay, inshallah.
okay, good. Okay, so now I'll share the screen to quickly have a look at the standard text. Okay, first comment we have taken with regard to the name of the standard. We'll see how either we segregate into or we like, you know, because it's appearing as framework of auditing, but it's a very important comment by Dr. Azim. Now coming to again, introduction and preface, we have discussed a lot about these things. Let me mention the significant changes. This standard combines the requirement of multiple earlier standards, including ASFI 1, ASFI 2 auditor. ASFI 1 was objectives and principle of auditing, ASFI 2 auditor's report, ASFI 3 terms of audit engagement, and ASFI 5 auditor's responsibility to consider fraud and error. So they are all at one place now, and there is no overlapping and redundancies. AOIFI framework for auditing has been defined, including aspects of its compliance. Opinion of auditor has been bifurcated for better clarity for scope, methodology, and approach, as well as reporting requirement in form of a primary opinion on the truth and fairness of financial information and a supplementary opinion. Quality management requirements at firm level and engagement level have been inserted. They were not there in the earlier standard. Definitions and significant principles have been aligned with current established practices of auditing, including coverage of certain aspects which were not covered in the predecessor standard, including aspects related to reporting, communication, related parties, compliance with laws and regulations, key audit matters, etc. And process flow and key principles of auditing related to various execution phases of audit have been included, such as audit sampling, test of controls, and testing of details have been made part of this standard. Marjan, can you kindly make a note of this, that paragraph F might need some rephrasing. Okay, just make a note of it. Discuss with me later. Okay.
Okay.
Now we have objective of standard. Obviously, we have this one, and which includes Sharia principles and rules. This is one of the major difference. I can see a Q&A comment, some comment coming in Q&A, but let me just quickly take you through the standard very quickly, and then we'll take some of the questions if the time allows. Time is already ending, so I just want few minutes to give. Then we have a scope clarification. We have identified a AOIFI framework for auditing, which include these 2-3 SOAs that we issue, along with the established practices of auditing. Established practices of auditing is a term that we've used for ISAs or other local regulations that are there. With regard to definitions, we have taken your comment, Dr. Razin, that some of the definitions are duplicate. So if the definitions are exactly same as ISAs, your recommendation is to remove that. Personally, I agree. We may do that, inshallah. I'm not going to take you through the definitions exactly, but we have covered reasonable definitions which we felt were necessary for the purpose of understanding of the standard. Then we have aim, objective, and scope. Aim of audit, we have defined aim of audit. ISAs has not defined aim of audit in this way. Actually, they have objective of the auditors. We have defined.
Sorry, sir.
Yes, please.
So sorry to interrupt, sir. So the question, the Q&A box were also saying this, that you need to focus the this thing, the display. It's small.
Okay. Let me make it bigger. Thank you. Okay, give me a second.
I think, Brother Umar, this is fine.
but this doesn't like doesn't show me what if give me just a second. Just give me a second. Actually, it should give me the option. It's not giving the option right now. Okay, let's do it this way. Okay. So definitions, again, we took one comment on definitions. Other comments are more than welcome. We were discussing about aim and objective. The objectives of auditor are different from ISAs because of considering the Sharia aspect. The same applies to the aim. Aim is not defined by ISA in this style. The scope of audit is clarified here. We have the compliance requirements, and we make a compliance requirement that all of the framework need to be complied, which means that ISAs or other standards which are part of established practices of auditing in the respective country are to be applied. We have ethical requirements as per our code of ethics as well as ISBA code of ethics. ISBA code of ethics is defined in the footnote, and our code of ethics as the primary one. Quality management requirements in line with ISQM or earlier ISQC have been identified. Again, details are referred to ISQM. Conduct of audit on the initial acceptance and continuation part, we have talked about competence. We had this discussion earlier about competence, so we have referred to the competence related issues here. On the acceptance, you cannot accept unless you have the competence, and you do not have the minimum requirements there. Preconditions, if you see, those are identified here in para 17. Then you have to agree the terms of audit engagement. Earlier it was a separate standard, but now we have put the main requirements with regard to terms of engagement in this section of the standard. This is actually not as detailed as the earlier one. It is again a summary of what is in the established practices of auditing. Then then we have the continuous process flow of audit. If you see, we have put the requirements as per the process flow of audit, which is different from the earlier standard, more detailed and more again, detailed means as detailed compared to the previous standard, but much precise as compared to international standards on auditing. Again, the main differences, if you find in these aspects, the main differences in this process flow part that you will identify will be mainly from the qualitative aspects of Sharia compliance, like even in sampling, even in materiality, and even planning and risk assessment. In all aspects, we have identified the key differences which are there for the conventional side, that is with regard to the involvement of, with regard to the consideration of Sharia principles and rules. Then we have the requirements of auditor's expert, and particularly we have talked about the auditor's expert on the Sharia side. That is nearly a must for this purpose. Then we have mentioned about these are the things that are not there in the conventional. So if you see, we have referred to the SOA 4, that SOA 4 will be having more details with regard to the reliance on the function performed by SSB and by the external Sharia auditor. Performing preliminary analytical procedure. This is one thing that is coming to my mind, honestly, based on the poll results, that when we talked about, even if we keep the external audit opinion, the Sharia opinion within the scope of this standard, I think we should be very clearly keeping this paragraph 40 needs to be significantly enhanced, saying that if the external audit, Sharia audit is there, then you need to actually perform minimum work, or maybe you need not to perform work. So this is something that need to be considered based on reliance on SSB and reliance on external Sharia audit 39 and 40. Here we are not talking about reliance on internal Sharia audit. Reliance on internal Sharia audit is for the work, but not for the opinion purpose. That is because internal Sharia audit is not fully independent. It is independent of management, but not independent of entity. While Sharia board and external Sharia auditor are, as per AAOIFI standards, completely independent of the entity. Sharia board is also has to be completely independent of the entity. From those perspectives, you can have reliance on this paragraph 39 and 40. And I think this is something based on either we follow what is coming as a poll result 2, or otherwise we may consider these points very seriously. So I request Mr. Marjan, please make a note of it. that if we don't go for it, then 39 and 14 need to be enhanced even in this standard. Then about the analytical procedures and other internal audit function, internal Sharia audit function, some of the comments we have received, I'm not going for that. Even on the sampling side, we have referred to the supplementary opinion and the issues related to supplementary opinion which impact the sampling, etc. So we have considered that control environment assessment and test of controls. Brother Abdullah, the most of the comments that you have mentioned with regard to the different functions like risk function, like the compliance function, they are all part of the normal control environment assessment, including even the chief executive and other the C-level, that was either your comment or somebody else's comment, that those people in the C-suite also need to be like assessed for the competence and all that part, and that is correct, and that is all part of the control environment, etc. at the entity level. So again, we have not repeated all of these things here. We have mentioned about the general requirements. Then we have the control procedures, substantive procedures, supervision requirements, consideration of fraud and error. Earlier, it was a full standard, so we have mentioned about included it as a section, so we will be withdrawing the additional standard. Other significant consideration during conduct of an audit. There are specific considerations with regard to the materiality, with regard to the representations, qualitative aspects of materiality. Related parties, again, we have some specific related party issues which are not there in the conventional, so we need to focus on that. Again, probably SOA 4 might be having more details on this part. Then again, we have general requirements with regard to some of the aspects of audit, like compliance with laws and regulation, but compliance with Sharia principles and rules also has the compliance with laws and regulation aspects, and it has some supplementary financial reporting aspect as well. So we believe that SOA 4 need to provide more detail on that part. Then we have requirements for documentation and archiving. Then we have requirements on conclusion of audit, including the review of audit work, etc. These all are, if you see, these are all structured in the normal audit process. So we try to combine whatever we need in one single standard in a way that that auditors will generally be following ISAs or other established practices of auditing, but they will have to comply mainly with this one requirement, the one standard, as well as SOA 4 only. So from AAOIFI's perspective, our idea is to simplify and summarize things at one place. Communication with those charged with governance. Again, some of these things, some people will feel that these are repetition from the conventional, but number one, these are much precise in nature here and summarize. And secondly, our main focus is what are the additional aspects with regard to Sharia principles and rules, etc., that need to be addressed. Communication with Sharia Supervisory Board is a specific requirement. Again, more requirements will be there in SOA 4. Right now, there are some requirements in ASFI 4, but we believe that some minimum requirements need to be contained in this standard, and then detailed requirements will be there in SOA 4. Going concern assessment update, subsequent events, these are the things which are normal there. Then we have the auditor's report. Right now, AAOIFI's ASFI 1 and 2 were referring to the 2 as a report, reporting requirements. 1 was putting some reporting requirements. Now, what happened that in between the ISAs were updated and our standards were not updated, and particularly key audit matters came in. So we issued a guidance note. That guidance note was first guidance note number 1, and that was replaced by guidance note number 2, which actually provides an opinion, including the key audit matters opinion. So from that perspective, that opinion needed to be improved as well. So this standard will be superseding that those requirements also. We will be coming up with a new guidance note in line with the reporting requirements which are contained in this one. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. But we are not making it the guidance note as a addendum to this standard. Reason is that earlier it was an addendum to this standard, and then amendment to the standard requires a whole process. While there can be some changes coming from ISAs or other regulatory requirements which need to be amended, like on a quick basis. So from that perspective, it is a decision that the audit report format will be a guidance note, like the guidance note 2, and we will be revising it in line with the overall audit reporting requirements which are contained in this standard. But anything that is coming into coming from ISAs, which is not repugnant to Sharia, can be adopted by AAOIFI and will be so only the guidance note will be updated according to that. Then we have some requirements related to modification, and obviously our focus here always is as always is here on the Sharia aspects of the modification, particularly the modification of the second opinion part, and particularly at times one opinion may impact the other opinion also. So we have covered those aspects here in these sections also. The idea is that we want to have it effective on 1 January 2025, which means that by 2024 we will be completing it, and 2025 means that it will be financial statements on 25. So even the financial statements of 25 will be audited mostly if the year end is December in 2026. So I think that we will be allowing enough time, and obviously early adoption will be permitted. But SOA 4 will have to be adopted along with this one. We are probably planning to issue final standards of SOA 1 and SOA 4 together at the same time, so that both of them can have a common effective date. So I think we have enough time allowed, but still, if there are any comments on that one, please feel free to let us know. Guidance note on guidance note number 3 will also be issued shortly, as I mentioned, along with SOA 4. So the guidance note 3, SOA 4, and SOA 1 will be having the same effective date. So I have been very quick on providing an overview of this one, and I think that we need to conclude also already. We have taken 10 minutes above time. We have 2 comments. I'll quickly answer these 2 comments, and if there is any other comment, we'll take, otherwise we'll have to conclude. There is a comment from anonymous attendee. Brother, I guess the language should be consistent in the standard. Evaluating sea level or even evaluating beauty is not less than the suggested evaluation of the SSB or the Sharia functions. If AAOIFI did not tackle this in their standard, then whom? Thank you very much. We will try to do that, brother. But the point is that that we are putting only the additional parts. So the additional elements that we have covered were mainly regarding the SSB or the Sharia functions. The guidelines may cover it. Right now, we again, I'm sorry, I have mentioned it many times that we are finalizing, and actually it has taken more time than normal, but we are actually finalizing our standard on the guidelines on the Sharia audit. Our Sharia audit guidelines that we are finalizing right now, if you see, this is a book of this size. It includes detailed evaluation of the management and other functions, etc., as well. And I hope that although we will try to keep it shorter, but I hope that the guidelines that will be coming along with this standard when we finalize the standards will be maybe like this, maybe at least 250 to 300 pages. Those may include additional considerations like this one, particularly assessment of the governance functions. These checklists are already included in this one. So I think those will be suitably amended and included in the guidelines for the external audit as well. So from that perspective, I believe it is going to be there, but not in detail in this standard, as we identified that the standard has to be short, and anything that is contained on the conventional side, we do not want to repeat it. Brother Abdurrahman Al-Sheikh, we think we should add a paragraph on conflict of interest. That is very important. Thank you very much, brother. We have put the ethical requirements. I think the ethical requirements refer to our code of ethics on Sharia for Islamic finance professionals. Our code of ethics cover this one in detail. ISPA standard covers in detail. So while I fully agree with your comment that it has to be covered, but the point is whether we refer to the relevant standard or we include a paragraph. So let me, because that we are not referring to only the conflict of interest, we are referring to all the independence and code of conduct requirements. So if you put conflict of interest, then there might be other independence and conflict of other code of conduct requirements that some people may consider necessary. So instead of duplicating whatever is there in AOFI's Code of Ethics for Islamic Finance Professionals and as well as ISBA Code of Ethics, I think that might not be necessary to be duplicated. However, we still take your comment because it's very, you are talking about one paragraph on conflict. So we may still consider doing it. We'll take your comment to PSC. Thank you very much again, brother. Brother Hussein Al-Mahdar has, okay, thank you very much. Thanks to all of you, brothers and sisters who have attended today. We have, again, Susan Audi, is there any reconciliation work been made between AOFI standards and IA ones? As of now, with IIA, we have no reconciliation. Our standard on external Sharia audit says that this requirements of this standard applies first and then IIA standards. So probably in that situation, we do not need any reconciliation because our standard has only additional requirements, no difference in like methodology or approach. Rather, only the difference is that our scope considers the Sharia aspect also, while they consider the financial and operational aspects only. So other than that, I think that is not necessary. But on the financial accounting side, we are working on, we have already published on the financial accounting side one book, and we are going to work on another book, inshallah. So with that, I think everybody must be tired, and I'm myself tired as well. I think we need to conclude. Okay, we have comment from Brother Salim. Okay, Brother Salim, welcome, sir. AOFI Code of Conduct cannot be easily downloaded. Please advise. The point is that we keep our standards available to read for free, but not for download. Why we don't allow download? Because again, keeping free means that even if you allow downloading, it should not be a problem to you. But the problem is that we are afraid that at times there are updated versions, etc. So we believe that the only version that is finally updated is there on the website. So from that perspective, we do not want to allow downloads. Considering specific needs, at times we provide individual institutions who are like, you know, AOFI's members or AOFI's in a collaboration with AOFI. So from that perspective, considering our recent, our update, relationships, we can share individually with some of the institutions, but not as a policy. Thank you very much again, and thank you very much for joining in. With that, I would like to thank you all and give.
Brother Umar, there's some hands raised, so I'm not sure if
okay, I couldn't see them. So what are the hands raised? Let's have a quick look at it. Brother Adnan Shafi, we requested you to comment earlier. No, his hand is not raised. Sorry.
Brother Salim.
Brother Salim, you want to say something? Brother Rizwan, you can allow him, please. Brother Salim, please. I will request everybody to keep your comments short now because we have already above time and people are tired. But Brother Rizwan, please allow all of those who have raised their hands, please, to speak. Thank you, sir. Brother Salim, please.
Brother Salim, we can't hear you. Okay, Brother Juma Saleh. Dr. Samia. Dr. Samia, are you with us? I can see you are unmuted. Brother Rashid? Perhaps these are from earlier then.
Okay, in that situation, Brother Rizwan, you can conclude now.
I think you've already concluded. Thank you very much, everyone for joining us. I think this was a very interesting public hearing, which was truly interactive. And, we say at AOFI certainly benefited from it. And inshallah, the comments and the feedback received will be taken internally, recorded, and of course, presented to the respected committee and the board. It was a very truly an enlightening session where bankers, professionals, auditors, scholars attended. And perhaps this is not the only public hearing that we will have on this standard. We will have at least 3 more public hearings, of which at least 1 will be in Arabic. And we will also shortly be making the Arabic exposure draft available for public consultation as well, which will be made available on AAOIFI website, and you will receive a notification through the email. However, I kindly request you to keep an eye on the AAOIFI news section in case the emails do not reach you. So with that, we'd like to thank you all for joining us today for the last, almost one half of the day. And we do hope that we will have you in the future sessions as well on the same standard or on other AAOIFI standards related to governance, accounting, Sharia, or auditing. We do have another public hearing on AAOIFI governance standard on 28th of February. It's on Sharia compliance and fiduciary ratings of sukuk and other Islamic financial instruments. We will be sending out the news related to that and the links to attend or register shortly as well. So please do tune in for that. This is happening next week, Tuesday, inshallah. So with all of that, I would like to thank you once again for joining us. Thank you all thank you to Mr. Adnan Yusuf for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Abdurrahman Al-Athim, for sparing your time to be with us. And also to our partners for this important public hearing, Bahrain Association of Banks and UAE Banking Federation, for sending out the information to their respected stakeholders within the GCC. And above all, I would like to also thank, Brother Umar. Thank you very much for a very enlightening session. Inshallah, we hope we will continue to receive feedback and comments on the standard. And look forward to having all of you in the future public hearings or other workshops or conferences of AAOIFI. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.